race momentarily. Please hang with us. Roll. We do have the national anthem. We'd asked that our spectators at the bottom of the hill remove their hats, and we're going to play the national anthem and have one of our young men bring this flag down. Again, welcome to the Benzie Invite, and let's get things started. Here's your national anthem. I'd like to welcome you all to the Benzie Invite and thank Bowen Stoops. Check that, his brother Ben Stoop, for our flag-bearing duties today. Again, welcome to the Benzie Invite. We're going to get things going in just a moment with our forerunners and looking forward to a great race.
Thing they told me that with my new camera, they can't be too close to the timer because it triggers them.
And we'd like to thank all of our gatekeepers. That is a thankless position, but it's also a really necessary position.
That's what I've been told. I don't know if it's true. That's what they told me last year.
Yeah, because they're wireless lasers.
Well, we do have some forerunners
I don't
getting
have
ready to
mine
come down
on
on both
Bluetooth or
courses.
anything, so I don't think mine was affected. But I could put it on airplane mode, and I don't think it was affected either.
And then we're going to talk or we have one, but it's not here.
And again, we've got forerunners on both sides getting ready to take off. We've got our first racer on course looking at the GS run. Looking for our first start over here on the slalom run, and we've got course on.
Where are they starting?
Have our first forerunner on GS working his way through. These records are not recorded, but the time was a 26:62, and look at that, a numeric palindrome right off the bat today. That's a 26:62 over on our first forerunner for GS. We've got a forerunner over here in slalom finishing up. Appreciate the students that are able to come in and hit the forerunners. Let's check all the course conditions and timing. 35:33. That's a 35.33 on that slalom run. We've got another forerunner over here on the GS course.
Are these actually racers now?
No, that one's my son though. Oh no. Good job, G.
Our forerunner on that GS side came through with a 26:10. Some nice skiing there, real consistent. We have a third forerunner on GS. Over here in slalom, we've got a forerunner on course.
Okay, he had a 2610.
Yeah, you did double bump on the line, so I want you to go back up so
I
that
did?
you know.
And finishing up through the GS, we are looking at faster runs. That's a 25.32, 25.32. And fortunately, we're doing a little hiking over on our slalom course. It's okay though, these are forerunners and we appreciate their effort. And again, gives everybody a chance to check the course and every, the timing equipment. Everything seems to be working great and we're getting ready to start the race. This is our final forerunner over here on the GS course. Our slalom runner seems to be having some issues, but we'll get that taken care of. Finishing up on the GS course, the faster run yet, that is a 24.63. That's a 2.463. And we're going to go ahead and DQ that forerunner on the...
Yeah, that's James.
James did a nice job too. 24.
The other.
And it looks like our first racer on the GS side is ready to go. This is from Grand Rapids Christian, Zach Vanderhorn, waiting for his start. Looks like we also have our first starter over on the women's side from Mount Pleasant. This is Willa Gott.
Dwayne, we do have a case of water down here for the athletes as well.
Willa Gott on course. Well, again, racing from Mount Pleasant are on the button today. First high school racer in our event. And over here on the men's side, Zach Vanderhorn on course from Grand Rapids Christian. We've got an issue on slalom as she has lost the ski, and that's going to be a DQ on the women's side. Looks like there might be a little extra snow up in that area. That's about where our forerunner went down to. Finishing up to the men's side, that's Zach Vanderhorn with a 24.12, 24.12. From Claire, Dawson Aldridge waiting for his start.
Can you see if Aaron wants?
Okay, well, wait, leave my glove.
Over here on the women's side, Kylie Thompson from Caledonia waiting on her start.
There and maybe a buildup of snow.
And we've got Miles Luther from Benzie Central waiting on his start up on top. Miles on course, Keegan Payne. Check that, it's not Keegan Payne, but Miles Luther is on course. And again, we have Kylie Thompson waiting on her start up on top. Kylie on course. This is Miles Luther from Benzie Central coming through with a 21.28. That's a great time, Miles. 21.28. Matthew Peak from Saginaw Heritage on course. And Kylie Thompson is working her way through coming into the hairpin here. Little issues, but she's still skiing. And over on the men's side, that's Matthew Peak from Saginaw Heritage working his way through. Connie coming through our flush and towards the finish line. She's going to be our first competitor finishing today, and that is a 36 flat. That is a 36.00. Lily Wolf from Benzie Central on course.
After the hairpin.
Matthew Peak from Saginaw Heritage finished with a 24.47. That's a 24.47. Raymond Cosgrove is on course for Harrison. And over here on the women's side, this is Lily Wolf finishing up her run. Lily coming through with a time of 31.85. That's a 31.85. Willa Murray from Glen Lake on course. And over on the men's side, that's Raymond Cosgrove from Harrison on course. Looks like we've got Brogan Russell waiting for his start up from Clare. And finishing up here at the bottom, this is Raymond with a time of 29.62. That's a 29.62. Brogan Russell waiting on his start. Willa Murray coming through our flush here and looking for the finish line. Willa coming through with a time of 31.70. That's a 31.70. Narrowly taking the first place run there. On course, Robin Tolko from Grand Rapids Christian. And it looks like Brogan Russell working his way through the finish line with a 20.04. Almost broke that 20-second barrier. Yes, indeed, a 20.04 from Rogan Russell. Colin Casman from Glen Lake on course. Robin Sego working her way through the rhythm section of our course and heading towards the bus down here at the bottom. Robin came from Grand Rapids Christian. And she comes through with a time of 32.98. That's a 32.98. Colin Casman from Glen Lake comes through with a 21.06. That's a 21.06. Aiden Percha from Mount Pleasant waiting on his start up on top. And Annalise Kuiper from Grand Rapids Central on course. Check that. Looks like it's going to be a Leah Blackmore from Onekma on course over on the ladies' side. Over on the men's side again, that is Aiden Percha from Mount Pleasant on course.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
We've got Quincy Sterling waiting on her start up on top, and Aaliyah Blackmore on course. And just finished over on the men's side for Mount Pleasant. That was Aiden with a 20.94, 20.94. Zach Vanderhorn on course from Grand Rapids Christian. Over here on the women's side, Aaliyah Blackmore just finished with a 29.43. That's a 29.43. Quincy Sterling on course from Grayling. Grand Rapids Christian has Zach Vanderhorn heading towards the finish line here. Zach coming through with a time of 24.12. That's a 24.12. And this is Quincy String over here on the Grayling side coming through the finish with a time of 32.43. That's a 32.43. If we could get Zach Vanderhorn to stop by the timing shack. Zach Vanderhorn, we need to... Whoever just came through our finish line, the last racer through our finish line, if you could come over to the start shack, or the race shack. Get our last male competitor, can you please come over to the race shack? Over here on the women's side, it looks like we've got Luna Garcia from Grayling on the button there. Over on the men's side, this is racer Brayden Sorensen from Onekma getting ready for his start. Over here on the women's side, from Claire, Ivy Russell. Brayden Sorensen on course. Again, we ask that that last male competitor please stop by the race shack over here. Again, the last male competitor, we've got a number mix-up. This is Brayden Sorensen from Onekma on course and laying down a great track. Over here on the women's side, that's Ivy Russell from Claire. Brayden Sorensen chasing that 19 second, but can't quite get it. 20.25, that's a 20.25. And just finishing, Ivy Russell. And from Grayling, this is Trevor, and I'm going to hurt your name, Trevor, but we'll just call him Trevor from Grayling on course. Just a moment on that time. And Ivy Russell finished up her run 29.87, 29.87. Trevor finished his run with a 21.20, 21.20. We should have Bryson Clark from Grand Rapids Christian waiting for his start up on top, and Sydney Mosadatson waiting for her start. Ivy Russell again finished with a 29.87. Trevor had a 21.20. We have a racer on course. This is Bryson Clark from Grand Rapids Christian. And Bryson Clark coming through at the time of 23.74, 23.74. And we've got racer Ben Stoops from Benzie Central waiting on his start. And Sydney from Mount Pleasant waiting on her start over on the other side. Ben Stoops on course.
He's really done a nice run. It was a 21.
great run here. We've got a lot of real close, but it's 20.43. Can't break that 19-second barrier yet. 20.43. Reese Kinney on course. Over on the women's side, that's Sydney, who's on course from Mount Pleasant, coming through her flush right there and making her way to the finish line. Sydney comes through with a time of 32.17. That's a 32.17. Reese Kinney coming through with a time of 21.46. That's a 21.46. Casey Brand from Harrison on course.
That's her up there.
Yep, that's her up top.
This is Vicky Brucey from Caledonia, who has entered the course on the slalom side. And from Harrison, that's Casey Brand, who's seeing on the GS side. Ethan Rogers on deck on top, and Casey Brand working his way through the finish line here. Casey coming through with a time of 22.18. That's a 22.18. Unfortunately, our racer has straddled a gate there on the women's side. Looks like Vicky's going to be a DQ as she's finishing up here, but has straddled a gate up there. Didn't do a hike. Elsa Carter on course from Benzie Central. This is Ethan Rogers over from Clare coming through the delay gate. Ethan Rogers loses his ski and he's into the slalom course here. We might have to have a couple reruns. Hopefully Elsa Carter knows she should be skiing out of the course, but she skis through and has a clean finish. That's a good message for all our coaches. Make sure your students know what to do in that situation. If a racer falls into your course, you are allowed to ski out and you'll be given a rerun. Glad everybody's okay there. Elsa got a time, a 37.52, 37.52, and unfortunately, Ethan Rogers is going to be a DQ. He actually is eligible to come through that finish line and get himself a finish. Again, I would encourage coaches, remind your athletes. Remind your athlete he is still eligible to finish that course, and unfortunately, he's going to come through as a DQ. Unless the rules have changed, you're allowed to use a piece of equipment with the last gate and come through with only one ski on. So again, coaches, please make sure your kids know the rule for finishing a race. It'll get them that second run. Jacqueline Hearn from Glen Lake on course for the ladies, and over here on the men's side, Jaden Thompson, also from Glen Lake. Lakin Gott waiting for his startup on top. And Catherine Brandt waiting on her start on top. Looks like Jaden is taking a little hike and looks like he's going to ski out, so that's going to be another DQ over there. The DNF had checked that. And over here on the women's side, Jacqueline Hearn from Glen Lake working her way through the flush here. Jacqueline laying down a nice run and coming through with a 37.71. That's a 37.71. Catherine Brandt waiting on her startup on top. Lincoln Gott on course from Mount Pleasant, just coming through our delay up there. And Raymond Cosgrove waiting for his start. Check that, it was Braden Smith waiting for his start up on top. Lincoln Gott just came through with a 20.95. Another one flirting with that 20-second barrier, but we haven't broken it yet. 20.95. Braden Smith waiting on his start. This is Catherine Brandt working her way down through the rhythm section. Breckin Cotter up on top, waiting for her start. Catherine from Grand Rapids Christian coming through with a time of 41.28. That's a 41.28. Braden Smith rocking through the finish line of the GS time with a 21.59. That's a 21.59. Reese Teal from Anekama waiting on his start up on top. And Annika Haig waiting for her start. This is Breckin Carter on course. While we have a brief delay here, remind all of our participants and fans that you can be following this race online. This is livetiming.com. You'll see everything unfold as you're watching. Over here on the right, this is Breckin Cotter, and just finishing on the left, Reese Teal from Oneka with a 20.72, 20.72. Breton came through with a 36.55, 36.55. Bailey Rumsey waiting on her start up on top. And over on the men's side from Grayling, that's Teague Hartman on course. And that was Brecken Cotter, 36.55, 36.55. Bailey Rumsey just working away through the finish from Harrison. Bailey coming through with a time of 4.9.06. It's a 4.9.06. Over the men's side, T. Hartman had a 20.84, 20.84. And we've got Mark Van Hecken from Grand Rapids Christian waiting on his start. This is Turney Hartman from Grayling working her way through our flush right now, heading towards the finish line. Bailey just finished with a 49.06. Unfortunately, we've got a little hiking action going, but I do remind their skiers that as you hike, you earn yourself that second run, and it's really critical in high school racing to make sure you get that second run in. Danny, it comes through with a 46.47. A little disappointment, but she got herself a second run, which is great. Haley Skunk on course for Claire. Over on the men's side, Willem Gronsman had a 20.84, 20.84, and that is Keegan Payne coming through with a 26.32, 26.32. Joshua Strack on course. Check that. Jonas Strack on course. And just finishing up over here, that was Haley Skunk from Claire with a 32.60, 32.60. Liz on course from Caledonia. And again, from Saginaw Heritage, this is Jonas Strack working his way to the finish line. Jonas carrying some great speed. He comes through with a 23.58. That's a 23.58. This is Liz Hilton working her way through the rhythm section of our slalom up on top. Looks like Aaron Peckin. Check that. Maria Bozier from Benzie Central. I'm going to start calling Maria Bo because I mispronounce her name all the time, and I've had her as a coach for 7 years now. Liz working her way through the finish line, and she comes through with a time of 40.61. That's a 40.61. Miles Henry from Harrison coming through with a 23.01. That's a 23.01. Dawson Aldridge waiting on his start. He is on course. And Mo is on course, working her way through the rhythm section. Elena Grant from Glen Lake waiting on her start up on top.
I'm just going to put it on top, Ben, and tell him.
Works her way through the flush here and is looking for the finish line. Comes through with a time of 36.53. That's a 36.53. Elena Grant just did the course up there. Over the men's side, that's from Glen Lake. Justin Thompson on course.
And the gatekeeper made her feel like she was done.
Oh, I hate when they do
So-
that.
He did just for an answer. He was like, ladies.
So,
What?
so, and she thinks she straddled up top, but that gatekeeper didn't say anything either. So I called it up to coach. They DQ'd her down here because they saw her straddle and then just finish out. Because, so that's the other thing. That gatekeeper can tell you to hike and everything, but the shack also is a judge.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So they judge like beyond, like the lap. They judge like at the finish. But yeah, no, I think you did a great job.
I don't want to. Okay. Well, I just felt good about it.
Slight delay there from Glen Lake. That was Justin Thompson finishing with a 21.58, 21.58. Over to the women's side, also from Glen Lake, Elena Grant with a 43.06. That's a 43.06. We have Annalise Kuiper from Grand Rapids Christian on course, and Nolan Moore from Mount Pleasant on course. Just finishing up Nolan Moore with a 20.97. That's a 20.97. Ben Deagle waiting on a start up on top. And coming through our flush there, that's Annalise Kuiper. Annika Haig on course.
Good job, Ben.
And over the men's side, Ben, in that last turn was a 23.64. This is Luke Smith from Onekama on course.
Okay.
Annika Haig.
I think this one was yours. I don't think.
Big green shape.
Yep, that's yours.
Thank you.
Allison Whitaker on course. Allison Whitaker on course. Annika finished with a 44.99, and Luke Smith over on the GS side finished with a 21.66. Jericho Wren from Grayling on course. Mark Van Hecken from Grand Rapids Christian waiting for his start. Jericho Wren comes through with a 21.79. That's a 21.79. And Allison, working her way to the finish here from Harrison, comes through with a time of 48.28. That's a 48.28. Jersey Brackenberry from Mount Pleasant on course. Over here on the men's side, we're waiting on Mark Van Hecken to take his start from Grand Rapids Christian. Jericho Wren finished his run with a 21.79. Again, this is Jersey Brackenberry on course for the women.
Yeah, I did not catch his time because I was talking with Vicky.
23 something.
23?
23 something.
Ryan's got it on live timing. 364. Top times are...
And we've got Floor Dennis from Benzie Central waiting on her start. Check that. Looks like it's Cassidy Allen from Clare waiting on her start. Jersey finished up with a 43.22. That's a 43.22. Mark Van Hecken, Grand Rapids Christian, is on course. Waiting for his start up on top is Aiden O'Dwyer from Benzie Central and Emily Winston from Mount Pleasant. Flirting with that 20-second barrier, Mark comes through with a 20.93. That's a 20.93. Aiden O'Dwyer waiting on his start up on top. And this is Cassidy Allen from Clare working her way through to the finish. She comes through with a nice run in a time of 32.18. That's a 32.18.
No, it's just...
Over here on the men's side, Aiden O'Dwyer is in the course, and he just came through our delay on the GS course. We've got Marissa Meyer from Saginaw Heritage waiting on a start up on top. Aiden coming through with a time of 21.87. That's a 21, check that, 21.84. 21.84. Yeah, this is Marissa Meyer from Saginaw Heritage. Coming through with a time of 24.62, 24.62. Emily from Mount Pleasant on course. This looks like Justin Harrison on course over on the men's side. Over the women's side, Erin Peckham waiting on her start, and Emily just coming through our finish line with a 47.58. 47.58. Erin Peckham is now on course. And Althea Gaylord is waiting for her start. Althea Gaylord waiting on her start. And Justin Harrison finishing up over here on the men's side with a time of 28.16. 28.16. From Clare, Evan Campbell on course. And Liam Henry waiting for his start up on top. Mrs. Erin Peckham working her way through the rhythm section of our slalom, heading towards the flush. We've got a skier down on the GS. We're going to have a hold on that as it looks like he lost the ski. And that's going to be a DQ over on the GS side for Evan Campbell from Clare. Althea Gaylord is on course. Erin Peckham just finished her run with a 43.39. That's a 43.39. Again, this is Althea Gaylord from Benzie Central on course.
Wait. Maybe she is. I don't know. I have no idea. That would be something. No. I think they're still.
Justin Harrison finished with a 28.16. And Evan Campbell, unfortunately, that's a DQ, and he's going to ski it off. He'll be back this afternoon for the slalom course. Over on the women's side from Benzie Central, that was Althea Gaylord, who finished with a 40.14. And Lexi Aylesworth from Glen Lake is on course. Waiting for her start up on top, Kendall Parsons. And over on the men's side, that is Hoff and Sutherland from Glen Lake on course. Hoff and Sutherland coming out of the course, and it looks like he's going to be done GS for the day, as unfortunately he's lost the ski. Hopefully he's okay. It looks like he's back up. That's great news. But Hoff and Sutherland, unfortunately, a DQ on that Glen Lake side. Lexi Aylesworth had a 49.40. Lexi, that was a 49.40. Waiting up on top, that should be Kendall Parsons waiting for her start. And on the men's side, Porter Martin. Checked out on the women's side from Grand Rapids Christian. This is one of our own, Kiara Bishop. Kiara skied with the Krista Community Ski Club for a number of years, and as she's come to high school, has been racing for Grand Rapids Christian. She is a Krista Mountain local as far as we're concerned. Kiara on course. Coming through that finish line, but again, that was a DQ on course. Kiara Bishop. That flush coming through with a great time. Yeah, that was a 30.18. Bishop coming through with a 30.18. From Anekama, Ashlyn Blackmore is on course. Hayden Smith from Mount Pleasant is on course. Hayden Smith comes through with a time of 49.48. That's 49.48. And just entering the course from Caledonia, Aiden Brown, who is on course. Over here on the women's side, just coming into our flush, this is Ashlyn Blackmore from Onekama. Comes through with a time of 33.94. That's a 33.94. Aiden Brown over here from Caledonia, working his way to the finish line. Carrying a 23.78 time. 23.78. Ashlyn Blackmore finished with a time of 33.94. Waiting up on top, this should be Eric Pop. Check that Aubin Haley from Onekama. And over on the men's side, on course from Harrison, that is Haley Tradesby. Remind our participants and spectators again that this race is online. You can follow all the action on livetiming.com. And coming through the finish line, Aubin with a time of 23.14. That's a 23.14. Jordan Wren from Grayling on course. And working her way through the rhythm on the women's side, that's Haley from Harrison. And we've got another lady on course from Grayling, that's Luna Gothier. And Haley finishing up her run with a time of 51.99. That's a 51.99. Luna Gothier on course.
Good job, bud.
Just entered the course on the men's side from Grand Rapids Christian. That's Sam Winks. Just finished up from Grayling, Jordan Wren with a time of 23.92. Waiting in the wings up on top are on the ladies' side. That's Chloe Allen. She was just entered the course. Luna finishing up down here at the bottom. Luna coming through at a time of 37.88. This is Chloe Allen finishing up her run, and Sam Weeks finishing up his run on the men's side. Sam coming through at the time of 28.90. 28.90. Colton Johnson from Saginaw Heritage on course for the men, and that's Chloe Allen from Clare working her way down the rhythm section. Waiting on her start up on top, Natalie Potter from Mount Pleasant, and looks like Colton Johnson finishing his run with a 23.98. That's a 23.98. Liam Henry from Harrison waiting on his start up on top, and Natalie Potter is on course. Shout out to our course workers and keeping everything in great skiing condition. Here we got Tristan Strauss from Clare waiting on his start on the men's side, and Tamara from Caledonia waiting on her start. Coming through the finish line though, that's Liam Henry from Harrison, 25.15. That's a 25.15. And finishing up for the ladies, that is Natalie Potter from Mount Pleasant with a 40.54. Tamara from Caledonia on course, and Tristan Strauss from Clare on course.
So on the, oh, she just fell. On the girls' course, this is another one of our exchange students.
Right there.
Yep,
Looks
on the
like he's
slalom
lost a
course.
ski there. That is going to be a DQ for him, unfortunately, as he has skied out of the course. That course is open and ready to go again. Tomorrow is on the course for the women. Tamara from Caledonia is working her way through the rhythm section here. And over on the men's side, that is Bryce Cundiff from Glen Lake working his way through and coming in with a time of 23.99. That's a 23.99.
Kept thinking tomorrow. That's her name.
Tamara.
And finishing up for the ladies, that's Tamara from Caledonia with a time of 1:15.20. 1:15.20. Winning up on top from Benzie Central, Flora Dennis. She's our foreign exchange student. This is her very first run through a slalom course. She'll always remember this run when she goes back to France after a year's worth of being a exchange student here at Benzie Central. Again, Flora Dennis taking her very first run through a slalom course. Over here on the men's side, Bryce Cundriff came through with a 23.99. Max Burpee is waiting on his start from Mount Pleasant. And Kendall McNitt is waiting on her start for Glen Lake. Flora taking a nice measured run through the course. Finishing up over the men's side, this is Max Bigley. Max from Mount Pleasant coming through with a time of 23.79. That's a 23.79. And Flora Dennis finishing her maiden run through a slalom course with a time of 59.30. Good for you, Fleur. That is a great run. 59.30. Kendall McNitt from Glen Lake is on course. It looks like Erin Bursma from Grand Rapids Christian waiting for her start. Cohen Broomfield over on the men's side coming down. And that looks like Phil Putney from Onekama waiting on his start on top. Cohen coming through with a time of 23.13. That's a 23.13. Phil Putney waiting on his start up there. Kendall McNitt from Glen Lake finishing her run. And waiting on top for the start from Grand Rapids Christian, that is Erin Bursma. And we've got a slight hole on the men's side as there's a gate down there up at the head wall. Again, a slight hole on the men's side. We've got a gate down on the GS side. Over on the women's side, though, this is Kendall McNitt from Glen Lake coming through our finish line. Kendall coming through with a time of 102.37. That's 102.37. Grand Rapids Christian, it should be Erin Bursma waiting on her start. And Onekama, Phil Putney waiting on his start. Again, Phil's still waiting on that gate to be fixed up on top, but we'll have that course running in just a moment. Looks like we've got a hold on Slalom 2 as we've got a gate down over there. If you coach long enough, you know that every kid revels in breaking gates, and every coach bites their tongue when they break a gate. Those gates cost $55 a piece. Again, a full course will cost a whole bunch of money. Coming here on the men's side from Onekama, this is Phil Putney, son of Adam Putney, our coach for Benzie Central. Phil with a time of 23.90. That's a 23.90. Erin Bursma is waiting on her start, but we've got a little course repair going on the slalom side. Marquise Parker from Grayling waiting on his start. Again, big shout out to our gatekeepers there as they're getting a new gate put in, and we should be racing on slalom in just a moment. My kids always considered it a badge of honor to be able to break a gate. Take home the top piece as a souvenir. This is Marquise Parker from Grayling on course.
Woo! Oh, Marcus!
Marcus Parker from Grayling has a 22.25. That's a 22.25. And on the women's side, we've still got that course set in. Erin Bursma waiting on her start. From Grand Rapids Christian, this is James Vanderbosch waiting on his start. Again, the last finish on that GS side, Marcus with a time of 22.25. And this is Erin Bursma from Grand Rapids Christian coming over the head wall and working her way through the rhythm section of our slalom over there. And he's on course now for the men. That's James Vanderbosch from Grand Rapids Christian. William Stacy from Saginaw Heritage waiting on his start. And Erin made that nice finish for the 38.80. Check that, a 34.81. 34.81. James had a 24.03. That's a 24.03. And William Stasic on course. William skiing for Saginaw Heritage. Is he coming through that delay up there? Over the women's side, this is Allie Gill from Onekama on course. Looks like we've got Blaine Allstop from Harrison waiting on his start, and just finishing William with a time of 26.56. That's a 26.56. Blaine Allstop on course. Over here on the women's side, this is Allie Gill who's on course. Blaine Allstop coming through with a 23.14. That's a 23.13. Check that, 23.14. Casey Brand waiting on his start. Allie Gill working her way towards the finish line here. Allie coming through with a 105.04. That's a 105.04. Nico Trebode from Grayling on course. Looks like waiting up in the wings from Claire is Kendall Parsons. Over here on the men's side, just entered the course was Porter Martin. That's Porter Martin from Glen Lake. I'm going to check that. That was actually 33 that just came out, and this is from Claire Silas Donaldson, who is on course. Silas and Donaldson on course from Claire, and finishing up for the women, that was Nico Treble from Grayling with a 33.49. 33.49 from Claire. Kendall Parsons on course. And over the men's side, Silas finished with a 26.68. That's a 26.68. Porter Martin waiting on his start up on top. This is Kendall Parsons from Claire working her way through the flush at our finish line. Kendall coming through with a time of 34.49. 35.90, 35.90. Should be Marie Marshall waiting on her start up on top. Porter Martin on course for the men. And up on top, Eric Pupa waiting for his start. Okay, this is Porter Martin working his way towards the finish. Porter skiing for Glen Lake and coming through with a time of 34.61, 34.61. Get a big shout out to our course workers and gatekeepers today. Those are thankless jobs, but absolutely necessary for a great race. Kids are coming through at a nice clip, and again, we're getting a lot of great times in here. This is Maria Marshall from Mount Pleasant, who's entered the course on the women's side. Kaylee Price from Caledonia, waiting on her start up on top. This is Eric Papa working his way through the GS. Eric Papa finished with a 23.77, 23.77. Derek Pritchard from Caledonia is on course. Over the women's side, this is Marie Marshall from Mount Pleasant. Marie is a ski out, unfortunately. That's going to be a DNF for her, and we've got Kelly Price waiting on her start on top. Derek Pritchard from Caledonia, 23.68. That's a 23.68. Aiden Brown. Check that. It's not Aiden Brown. It is.
Good. I realized those things there.
Oh, yeah. So when coach is talking about
And they're doing a little slalom work on that slalom course. We've got a hold on that side as they kind of work their way through and resetting some of those gates. Landon Tennant waiting on his start from Onekama. Derek Pritchard from Caledonia finished with a 23.68. We're getting close to our finish of our first run. As we finish up, we'll take a quick break to get those courses slid, but we're asking all athletes head right back to the top. We are going to be reversing orders, so the order will be reversed within each flight. Landon Tennant is working his way to the finish line here on the GS side. He comes through with a time of 22.06. That's a 22.06. Jimmy Calvin from Grayling just entered the course. Again, just finishing up the coursework on the slalom side, and Kelly Price from Caledonia waiting on her start up on top. Just coming through that delay up on top there is Jimmy Calvin from Grayling. Trevor from Grayling also. Check that. Kendall Parsons finishing up 35.90, 35.90. And Katie Price still waiting on that start on the women's side. Jimmy Calvin finished his run 22.25, 22.25. And from Grayling,
That's all right. You did a great job.
looks like we've got the boys all done. Again, boys look like they've all taken that first run.
So flight one, you get skill 2.8. Second time through, you get flight one, skill 8. Yeah. So we're done.
This is Kelly Price. He is on course, working her way down through the rhythm section. Our mid-side, we're going to be flipping as they are finished that first run. They're coming through on their second run now over the TS side. They get one more chance to see if they can break that 20-second barrier.
Good job, Kay.
Over here on the women's side from Caledonia, that was Kelly Price with a time of 47.43. That's a 47.43.
Nice solid run for Kaylee.
Lily Tatko from Grayling, Grand Rapids Christian, is on course. Up on top, Leah Thompson waiting on her start. And again, the men are going to be starting their second run. Got a hold of the men's side as they're doing a course slip over there and getting it ready for the second run. Leah Thompson from Onekama on course for the women. And Dakota Betware on course, or waiting on top.
Take a breath.
Thompson from Onekama just coming through with a 46.23. That's a 46.23. Dakota Batway from Grayling is on course. That was Leah Thompson from Onekama, came through with a 46.23, and Dakota Batway just finished up her run from Grayling with a 38.51, 38.51. Grace Russell is on course. From Claire, this is Grace Russell working her way through the flush. Grace Russell finished up with a 39.81, 39.81, and we're getting very close to wrapping up on the women's side. On the men's side, they've got that course slipped, and we're getting ready for our second run. Looks like Trevor from Grayling is waiting on his turn, and Trevor is on course. This is Trevor from Grayling with a time of 20.95. Still not able to break that 20-second barrier, but a 20.95 for Trevor. Waiting on his start up on top, this is Braden Sorensen from Onekama. And finishing up here at the bottom from Claire, that's Ivy Russell coming through with a 31.21. Ivy, the first skier in our second round here again. Into the second round on both sides, right about the same time here. We had Ivy finishing with a 31.21. Looks like Quincy String waiting on her start up on top, and Braden Sorensen waiting on his start up on top. Looks like they are taking a moment to get a slip in on that slalom course. And again, appreciate all of our course workers keeping both these courses in great skiing shape. We've had a ton of fresh snow here at Crystal over the last few days. Again, shout out to our coaches and course workers as they're slipping both courses, getting everything ready for that second run. Over here on the men's side from Onekama, that's Braden Sorensen on course. Braden again trying to break that 20-second barrier. No one's been able to do it this morning. And there it is, folks. It took a while, but Braden Sorensen from Onekama with a 1988. That is a 1988. That's about the time I started teaching at Benzie Central. Quincy String on course from Grayling. Again, we are into our second round here as racers are coming through. I will start giving you some total times also. Quincy coming through with a 33.17. That's a 33.17, a total of 105.60. Aaliyah Blackmore from Onekama on course. DJ Portiger on course for the Caledonia and finishing up his run. DJ coming through with a 2:1.85. Aiden Percha on course from Mount Pleasant. And Aaliyah Blackmore from Onekama coming through our flush with some great speed. Looks like she's going to have a good time, and it is 30.20. That's a 30.20. Total time of 59.63. 59.63. Over here on the men's side, Aiden Percha just finished with a 21.59. That's a 21.59. Total time 42.53. 42.53. Zach, Colin Casbin is waiting for his start up on top. Colin Casbin from Glen Lake waiting for his start. And on course, Robin from Grand Rapids Christian working her way through the hairpin right there. Up on top, Willa Murray from Glen Lake waiting on her start. Willa Murray is on course, and Robin just finished her run with a 33.74. That's a 33.74. And that's Willa Murray you're seeing getting ready to come into the hairpin there. Willa doing a nice job with that. Colin Casbin over on the mid side has entered the course. Willa finishing up with a run of 31.55. That's a 31.55. 103.25 total time. Colin Casbin coming through with a 21.36. That's a 21.36. Gives him a 42.42 total time. From Claire, Brogan Russell on course. And this is Lily Wolf from Benzie Central on course. Lily finishing the flush right there and looking for the finish line. Coming through with a time of 32.59, 32.59, a 104.44 time. Kylie Thompson, Caledonia on course. Brogan Russell on course is just finishing over here on the mid side. Brogan coming through with a 27.41, 27.4 run.
Yeah. It's fine. I'll sharpen them when I get them. So don't tell them that I did.
Raymond Cosgrove on course from Harrison. And over here on the women's side, this is Kylie Thompson from Caledonia. Finishing up with a 36.12, 36.12, a 112.12. That's a 112.12 finish. And up on top, Liz Hilton waiting on her start. Over here on the men's side from Harrison, Raymond Cosgrove on course. Raymond having a little problem up there at the delay area. He's back on course. Looks like Matthew Peak from Saginaw Heritage waiting for his start up on top, and Sydney from Mount Pleasant waiting on her start. Just finished up at the bottom. That was Raymond Cosgrove with a time of 40.93, 40.93. Matthew Peak on course. Matthew skiing with Saginaw Heritage. And it looks like Miles Luther is waiting on his start up on top from Benzie. Over here on the women's side, that's Willow Gott. Willow finished with a 38.01. That's a 38.01, but had a DNF in that first run, so no combined time. And over here on the men's side, Miles Luther is on course. Matthew Peak finished with a 23.09. That's a 23.09. This is Miles Luther working towards the finish line. Miles coming through the 21.66. That's a 21.66. Total time, Miles of 42.94. 42.94. Over here on the women's side, we got Haley Shrunk working her way towards the flush and just entered the course on the men's side. Zach Vanderhorn from Grand Rapids Christian.
I'm excited for her.
Haley coming through with a time of 33.37. That's a 105.97 finish. Miles Luther finished with a 42.94. And Zach Vanderhorn is on course and finishing up here at the bottom with a time of 24.25. 24.25. 48.37 total finish. Teague Hartman from Grayling waiting on his start up on top. This is Turney Hartman working their way through the rhythm section over here on the slalom course, and Bailey Rumsey waiting on her start up on top. Turney from Grayling coming through with a finish of 33.08. That's a 33.08. Much better run that time of 119.55 total finish. Bailey Rumsey on course and just finished up T. Hartman from Grayling with a 22.19. That's a 22.19. 44.28 total time. We've got Reese Teal from Anekama on course. And Bailey Rumsey working her way through the rhythm section up there on top. Looks like Brecken Cotter waiting for her start up on top. And Braden Smith from Caledonia waiting for his start. Reese Teal finishing up down here at the bottom with a 20.86. That's a 20.86. Total time of 41.58. That's a 41.58. Okay, this is Braden Smith on course and finishing up down here, Bailey Rumsey. Bailey with a 50.22, 50.22, 139.28 total time. Brecken Cotter on course. Braden Smith, 22.87. That's a 22.87, 44.46, 44.46. Brecken Cotter working her way through the rhythm, coming up on our flush here. Brecken with a time of 35.91. That's a 35.91. Total time of 112.46. Over here on the men's side, that's Lincoln Gott, who has just entered the course. Braden Smith finished with a 22.87. Total time of 44.46. 44.46 for Braden Smith. Lincoln Gott working his way to the finish line here. Lincoln coming through with a time of 22.09. 22.09. 43.04 total time. That's Catherine Brandt from Grand Rapids Christian working her way through the rhythm section, coming up in the hairpin up there. And it looks like Jacqueline Hearn waiting on her start up on top, and Justin Harrison waiting on his start. This is Casey Brand on course. Ooh, Casey checking there, but stayed on course. And Catherine Brandt working her way to the finish line with a time of 42.93. That's a 42.93. And Casey Brand comes through with a time of 25.76. 25.76. A total time of 47.94. That's a 47.94. This is Jacqueline Hearn on course from Glen Lake. And looks like we've got a skier down momentarily, but he's back up and running over there on the GS side. That's Reese Kinney from Saginaw Heritage. Matthew, check that. Jacqueline Hearn finishing up her run with a 36.86. 36.86, a 114.57. Finishing up his run on the GS side from Saginaw Heritage, that's Reese Kinney with a time of 30.96. 30.96. Total time of 52.42. Over here on the women's side, this is Elsa Carter. Elsa skiing for Benzie Central. Big shout out to Adam and all the other coaches who helped set this morning. Elsa working her way through the flush here and coming through with a time of 37.36. That's a 37.36. Total time of 114.88. 114.88. Elsa, that currently puts you in 11th place with that 114.88, just out of medal range. Caledonia, Vicky Brosi on course. She was disqualified first run, but we are taking second runs here. We'll not have a total time for her. Taking the city crowd around some of those hairpins. And over here on the men's side, this is Bryson Clark. Waiting for his start up on top. That's Jericho Wynn. Finishing up, that was Vicky who came through with a 41.33. 41.33, and again, Vicky, there was not a total time for you with a DQ on that first run. Sydney on course for Mount Pleasant. Cassidy Allen waiting on her start from Clare, and over here on the men's side, that's Jericho Rim, just getting through the GS. And looking up on top, Luke Smith. Smith on course, Jericho Rim, 21.54, 21.54. We've got a girl down on the slalom course. She fell perfectly in line though, and she back up, and that is an okay finish. As Penn cleared all the gates. Sydney back up and finishing with a 40.60. That's a 40.60. 112.77. Great hustle. Luke Smith finishing up 21.63. 21.63. Some amazingly consistent skiing there, Luke. You were 21.66 and a 21.63. 300ths of a second celebrating those two runs. 43.29 for you, Luke. Waiting on his start up on top. We've got Cassidy Allen from Clare on the women's side.
Those are lizards.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Cassidy Allen on course.
My fingers are cold. Maybe.
Or are you waiting?
Oh wait, no. Yeah, those ones.
I'll just hand them.
I'll go up and I think I messed up. Go all the way.
And it's Cassidy Allen is on course for the women. Just finished with Sydney. Over here on the men's side, just finished up Ben Eagle with a 23.91. 23.91. Total time of 47.55. Ben Stoops waiting on his start. Over here on the women's side, this is Cassidy Allen from Clare.
She looks good. She used it as a practice.
This is Jersey Blackenberry from Mount Pleasant on course for the women, and finishing up for the men, that is Ben Stoops coming down with a 20.81, a 20.81, 41.24 total time, and Ben currently that puts you in second place, 41.24 total time. And today we've only had one skier manage to break that 19-second barrier, and that is Braden Sorensen from Onekama. This is Nolan Moore from Mount Pleasant on course. Looks like we might have Hayden Smith waiting for his start. Up on top. It looks like Allison Whitaker just entered the course. And just finishing the course is Jersey Blackenberry with a time of 44.01. That's a 44.01. 127.23 total time. Allison Whitaker on course. Looks like Annika Haig waiting on her start up on top. And that's Justin Thompson who just entered the course on the GS side. Should be Dawson Aldrich from Clare waiting on his start. And I remind all of our parents and spectators that this course is online. This race is online. Livetiming.com. This is Allison Whitaker working her way through the rhythm section. Justin Thompson just finished with a 21.84, 21.84, 43.69 total time. Dawson Aldrich from Clare on course. It looks like Miles Henry waiting on his start up on top. Finished up Allison Whitaker with a 54.08, 54.08, 142.38 total time. This is Annika Haig from Onekama on course. It looks like Annalise Kuiper from Grand Rapids Christian waiting on her start. Miles Henry waiting on his start up on top. Dawson just finished with a 24.45, and Miles is on course. She's working her way through the rhythm section there, and that's Annika Haig. And over on the other side, Miles is taking a coffee break as he's going around that gate. But he is back up and running. And finishing up her run, Annika Haig with a time of 39.75. That's a 39.75. Annalise Kuiper on course. And finishing up over here on the men's side, Miles Henry with a 29.54. That's a 29.54. 52.55 total time. Jordan Strack on course. And Annalise Kuiper working her way through the flush right here. And Annalise coming through with a time of 32.35. 36:35. That's a 32.35. And finishing up on the men's side, that's Jonas Strack with a time of 22:79. That's a 22.79. Total time of 46:37. 46:37. Keegan Payne on course from Benzie Central. And Elena Grant is working her way through the hairpin. Up on top it is Mo Mosier from Benzie Central. And this is Keegan Payne from Benzie Central working his way to the finish. And Elena Grant from Glen Lake coming through. Keegan comes through first with a 25:57. That's a 25.57. 51:89 total time. And Elena came through with a 44.16. Total time of 1:27:22. Mo Mosier on course. And over here on the men's side from Grand Rapids Christian, that's Willem Grunsman on course. Waiting on his start up on top. Jordan Wren and first on top, Liz Hilton. And finishing up together here at the bottom, we'll do Mo first. Mo Mosier with a 36.77, 36.77, 1:13 total time. And over on the men's side from Grand Rapids Christian, that was William Gonsman with a 21.83, 21.83. Total time 42.67. Jordan Wren on course from Grayling. And Aubin Ali waiting on his start. Over the women's side from Caledonia, this is Liz Hilton working her way through the hair. Just finished on the men's side, Jordan with a 23.33. That's a 23.33. Total time of 47.25. Aubin Ali on course. Working her way to the finish line here, this is Liz Hilton from Caledonia, and she comes through with a 42.39. From Clare, Chloe Allen has just entered the course. Over here on the men's side, that's Aiden Brown coming over the head wall. Chloe Allen working her way through the rhythm section. This is Chloe Allen, who finished with a 36.87, 36.87, a 113.41, a 113.41. Luna Gauthier on course. And over on the mid-side, Hayden Smith. Hayden Smith with a 22.59, that's a 22.59, a 112.43. Hawthorne Sutherland on course. Katie, did you watch that? For the women from Grayling, that was Luna Gauthier, who came through with a 35.17. On course from Harrison, that's Haley Talsby. Haley working her way up to the hairpin there, and over the men's side, that's Justin Harrison from Harrison. Hawthorne Sutherland finished his run with a 22.36, a 134.88 total time. Haley comes through the time of 53.93, 53.93, total time of 145.92. Ashlyn Blackmore on course. And it looks like from Clare, Grace Russell is waiting on her start. Over here on the men's side, it's not a man though, Marissa Maurer. Yes, you can race on the men's side as a woman. You can't race as a woman on the man. I got that wrong. You can't be a man racing on the women's side, but you can be a woman racing on the men's side. From Saginaw Heritage, Marisa comes through with a time of 24.26. That's a 48.88. Aiden O'Dwyer from Benzie Central on course. Aiden came through with a 21.84 on that first run. And over on the other side from Grand Rapids Christian, this is our very own Kiera Bishop. Nice catch up there on top, and Aiden coming through with a 21.69. A couple real consistent runs there, Aiden. 21.84 and a 21.69. Total time 43.53. This is Kiera Bishop coming through with her finish. Kiera comes through with a time of 31.67. That's a 31.67. 101.85 total time. Kiera, that's a 101.85. Total currently has you in third place. Back to live, it's from Glen Lake. Lexi Aylesworth is coming over the head wall there. And on the men's side from Grand Rapids Christian, that is Mark Van Hecken. Mark Van Hecken comes through with a 21.03. That's a 21.03. Total time of 41.96. 41.96. Marquise Parker on course for the men. That's from Grayling. Over here in the women, timer just went off. Lexi Aylesworth, time of 47.84. 47.84. Total time of 137.24. Althea Gaylord from Benzie Central on course. Finishing up at the bottom here, that's Marquise Parker from Grayling with a time of 22.23. 22.23. Total time of 44.48. Over here on the women, this is Althea Gaylord working her way through the rhythm section. And on course for the men, Phil Putney from Onekama, son of our coach for Benzie Central, Adam Putney. A little bit of a struggle there, but Althea comes through with a good run, a 39.83. 39.83, total time of 119.97. Aaron Peckham on course for Caledonia. Phil Putney just finished his run with a 23.94. 23.94. A couple consistent runs there too, Phil. That was a 23.90 and a 23.94. Total time 47.84. This is Cohen Broomfield from Caledonia on course. And on the women's side from Caledonia, Aaron Peckham. Finished up there, Colin, with a time of 23.36, total time of 46.49. As we come up on lunch break here, folks, timing-wise, the time from our last skier, and that is the time from our last skier, we will restart the race at 1 hour. So a 1 hour break from the time our last skier comes through the gate, or what side it is. And 1 hour later, the race will resume. 45 minutes later, the courses will be open for inspection. So again, after a 40-minute lunch break, head yourself back up here. Courses will be open for inspection. We're looking for a 1 hour start from time of cease here. Again, that is the time when the final racer comes through. Max Bergby came through with a 23.16. 23.16. Total time 46.95. Bryce Kundra from Glen Lake on course. Bryce just about to our finish line, coming through with a time of 25.34. That's hit to 5.34. Total time of 49.33. This is Emily from Mount Pleasant, working her way to the finish line. Emily comes through with a time of 44.67. 44.67. Kendall Parsons just ended the course up on top, and Liam Henry is on course. We've had a pretty good tumble there at the delay gate, so he's going to be taking a long delay. That's Colton Johnson from Saginaw Heritage. Both skis are still on though, so he's eligible to come back into the course and finish it, get himself a time. Just finished on the women's side, that's Kendall Parsons with a 37.20, 37.20, 113.10. And again, our gentleman Colton Johnson hiking on that side. Good for him. He's back on course and going to get himself a time. Every coach appreciates an athlete that gets up and hikes and finishes the course for their team. From Onekama, this is Allie Gill on course. And Colton Johnson finishes up over there for the men with a 55.76, 119.74 total time, but he did get a total time. Grand Rapids Christian Sam Winks has come on course. And over here on the women's side, that's from Onekma coming to the rhythm section, Allie Gill. Looks like Allison Whitaker waiting on her startup on top. Check that, it was Erin Bursma waiting for her startup on top. Finishing on the bottom, that's Sam Winks from Grand Rapids Christian, 23:23. It's a 23.23, total time 52.13. Finishing up her run over here on the women's side from Onekma, that's Allie Gill with a time of 49.80, 49.80, 154.84. Erin Bursma on course, and Jimmy Calvin on course. Looks like Landon Tennant waiting on his startup on top, and Kendall McNitt waiting on her startup on top. Looks like Jimmy Calvin is working on equipment up there. He might be at DQ as I think the skis have come off on that GS course. Over on the women's side, that was Erin Bursma who came through with a 35.57, 35.57, a 110.38 total time. Kendall McNitt on course. Kendall working her way through the rhythm section, and again we got an open course over on that GS. Landon Tennant on course. Landon Tennant skiing from Onekma again. He is just coming through the delay over there, and on the women's side, that is Kendall McNitt working her way towards the flush. They're going to finish almost the same time down here at the bottom. And we'll take Landon first with a 22.40. That's a 22.40. Total time of 44.46. Derek Pritchard has just entered the course for the men on the GS side. And on the women's side, that's Flora Dennis who is on course. Flora taking her second run on the GS, on slalom. She's following Kendall McNitt, who come down with a 47.04. That's a 47.04, 149 total time. Derek Pritchard finished with a time of 22.79. That's a 22.79. Total time of 46.47. That's a 46.47. Jericho Wren from Grayling. Waiting on his start. I checked that. See who's on the men's side. On the women's side, it's Flora Dennis working her way through the finish. She takes a little coffee break, but she is still skiing. Both skis on, and she's on course. Looks like Flora will get a finish, and that's great. She finishes up that first race in slalom ever. 106.94, that's a 106.94, total time of 206.24. This is Eric Papa from Mount Pleasant on course for the men, and over here on the women, that's Tamara from Caledonia on course. For the men waiting on his start, Porter Martin from Glen Lake, and Eric finishes his run with a 23.39, 23.39, total time of 47.16, 47.16. From Glen Lake, Porter Martin has just entered the course, and it looks like Silas Donaldson waiting on his start up on top. Tamara working her way through the rhythm up here, and Natalie Potter waiting on her start. Remind all of our participants and spectators that 1 hour after the final racer, we will be resuming the race. 40 minutes after the final racer, courses will be open for inspection. Athletes, that gives you about a half hour, 40 minutes to get inside, warm up, get a little food, and head back out for course inspection. Again, a 1 hour break from the time that we have our last racer through till the restart of the race. This is Natalie Potter on course. Waiting for her start up on top, Grace Russell. And over on the men's side, that's Porter Martin, with a 31.93 finish and a 106.54 total run. Silas Donaldson on course for Claire. And finishing up here on the bottom for Mount Pleasant, that is a 42.49 for Natalie. 42.49 for Natalie. And Silas taking another coffee break here. Unfortunately, the ski is off, and that's going to result in a DQ. Again, coaches and athletes, remember that if you fall in the last gate, you can finish your run with one ski off. But otherwise, you are a DQ anywhere else on the course. This is Grace Russell working her way down the line. And it looks like we've got Blaine Allstop waiting on a start up on top for the GS as soon as we know that course is clear. Grace just finished her run, 39.72, 39.72 to 119.53 total time. And it looks like Blaine Allstop from Harrison is on course for the men. And Dakota Batway from Grayling is on course. Dakota working her way to the finish line, comes through with a time of 40.12, total time of 118.63. Or the men's side, that was Blaine Allstop who came through with a 23.72. William Stasic on course. And this is Leah Thompson over on the women's side working her way down the hill. And William Stasic on course for the men. Looks like James Vandenbosch waiting on his start up on top. And Lily Taka. And it looks like we're almost through with our men for the morning. And again, big shout out to the coaches and athletes as we got that one in the bag. Looks like we're just about done with the men and we got a few more on the women's side. That is James coming through with a 23.53, total time of 47.56. And over here on the women's side, Leah Thompson just came through with a 48.80. That's a 48.80, 135.03 total time. Lily Tatko on course. We are done on the men's side. That's a 1 minute warning or 1 minute call. Any last male competitor, if you missed your call, it is course is open for 1 minute. We're going to close that down. Remember, we'll start our 1 hour delay after the final racer. That means on this case for the women. Lily Taco just finished her run, 35.60. That's a 35.60, 111.59 total time. Kelly Price from Caledonia on course. Looks like our last racer in the gate for the girls. We're at good time here. It is 11:38. Looks like we're going to start our race right around 12:40. That'll be a 12:40 restart. Remember though that means a 12:15 course inspection time. We've got about 40 minutes for course inspection. Right now though, we've got Kelly Price finishing up her run, and Kelly comes through with a 48.54, 48.54, total time of 135.97. Maria Marshall is on course. I think she is our last female contestant for the morning. Again, this is our last racer for the morning. Congratulations to all of our teammates. Northwest Territories is waiting for you to warm up and get some great food and then head back out here 1 hour from right now. We're looking at a 12:40 restart. This is our final female contestant from Mount Pleasant, Marie Marshall on course. And that is a wrap for the morning, folks, with a 143.82, a 143.82. Great racing morning. Let's see everybody back out here this afternoon. We are looking again at a 12:40 restart. I remind all of our participants and our spectators, this race is on livetiming.com. somewhere through the lunch hour, you should see some results from the morning events starting to pop up. Again, look on livetiming.com for total results, and somewhere along the line during lunch, you should see morning results starting to pop up on the internet. We'll see everybody at 1:40. Check that at 12:40.
I think so.
Ours will go right off the bat, but if it's taping fine, what's the battery like that?
Oh, 18%.
18, because we left it in the cold probably.
Yeah.
If we don't get very much, shut her down. We'll just get when they start racing. I gotta buy an adapter, but I got like a battery that I use for my my kayak that's got an adapter we can plug in, but because this one.
And it looks like we've got another forerunner on slalom and another forerunner on GS.
But it's got to go from that into the USB, so I got to get a B to C.
Yeah, I've got some of those.
Okay, he's looking good.
And coming through our finish line on the GS, our forerunner with a time of 22:32. That's a 22.32. And over here on the slalom side, forerunner comes through with a time of
course ran really well, just like we
38.66. That's a 38.66.
So yeah, really good. 38.66. Sorry.
That was a nice run. Yeah. That was really good.
Hey, anything different than we saw in this game?
Got another forerunner on slalom side. We should be hitting our first seeds. Are all lining up on top. Looks like we've got a good crowd up there, and we're going to be starting the race just in a moment.
Hey, Gavin said that, and we inspected it this way too, that first turn
Forerunner on
is
GS.
a lot sharper than we thought.
It is 1 o'clock, and it looks like we're going to get off to a picture-perfect start this afternoon. Everything is ready to go for the start, and our forerunner on the GS side comes through with a 25.57, 25.57. Our forerunner on the slalom side comes through with a 38.17, 38.17.
Hey, he had good runs this morning, man. They adjusted the fins just a touch on the GS skis because we didn't ski those yesterday. Because when we looked at the chart between his height and his age, that was probably why they popped, even though they didn't. The slaloms didn't go. So there's just Ryan did a minor, I think a little forward crunch. So he should be all set.
And it looks like we got a last forerunner over that slalom side.
He's skiing great.
No, I'm looking for mine.
The results are on there for the morning lifetime. So we were 2 points behind Christian. They're always pretty good. Even though they got 3 zeros here, they're still pretty good. And then that maybe is
Yep.
And coming through, that was final forerunner on the slalom side with a 41.26 and 41.26.
your job is to get some 4 runs.
And it looks like, yes, indeed, we've got another forerunner on the GS side. We've got a few people up there.
After we got 4 guys down.
Not quite a coffee break, but certainly taking the leisurely way down through the course. Forerunner coming through with a time of 31.59. That's a 31.59. Over on the GS side, Willow Gott is going to be our lady on the button, and the man on the button this morning for our afternoon from Grand Rapids Christian is Zach Vanderhorn. Both our racers ready to go, and we are ready to get the afternoon session started. Remember, about 45 minutes after the session finishes, we should have results waiting for you in the Northwest Territories, along with a fair amount of hardware. Good luck to everyone this afternoon, and this is Willow Gott on course and Zach Vanderhorn on course. Willow Gott Scott coming through at a time of 25:27. That's a 25.27 from Caledonia. Kylie Thompson on course. And Zach Vanderhorn just finishing up over here on the solid, heading his way through the flush and looking for that finish line. He comes through with a time of 36.19. That's a 36.19. Kylie Thompson finishes with a 25.08. That's a 25.08 from Benzie Central. This is Lily Wolf waiting on her start. And Miles Luther from Benzie Central also on course.
Yes, they do.
Looks like Willa Murray is waiting her turn up on top, and Matthew Peak from Saginaw Heritage waiting for his start. Down here at the bottom, though, this is going to be Miles Luther from Benzie Central as he works his way through the flush and comes to the finish with a time of 30.60. That's a 30.60. Lily Wolf from Benzie Central comes through with a 22.53. That's a 22.53. Waiting for their start up on top. That's Matthew Peak from Saginaw Heritage, and Willa Murray from Glen Lake has just entered the course.
Okay.
Erin Bursma from Grand Rapids Christian up waiting for her turn. And that is Willa Murray just coming through the GS, the delay of the GS. Willa lays down a nice run of 22.03. That's a 22.03. Erin Bursma from Grand Rapids Christian on course. Aaliyah Blackmore waiting for her start on top. Over on the men's side, Miles Luther finished. And we have Matthew Peak on course. Matthew's having to do a little bit of hiking there, but he's kept his skis on and he's back into it. Over here on the women's side, this is Erin Bursma working away to the finish with a time of 22.88. That's a 22.88. Unfortunately, Matthew's having a little issues with the course, but he has still got his skis on, and that makes him legal to finish the course. Good job hiking, and he is back online. Matthew earns himself a second run there. We'll have the time in just a moment as we're entering a new racer. Over on the women's side, last racer was Erin Bursma with a 22.88, and we've got Aaliyah Blackmore waiting for her start up on top. And on the men's side from Harrison, this is Raymond Cosgrove waiting for his start. He is on course. And Aaliyah Blackmore is on course.
These ones are ours. I'm grabbing.
Looks like Brogan Russell from Clare waiting for his start up on the top. And over on the women's side, Jersey Brackenberry. Aaliyah Blackmore just working her way past the delay. And Aaliyah comes through with a time of 21.41. That's a 21.41. Jersey Brackenberry waiting for her start. And over here on the men's side, that's Raymond Cosgrove working his way through. Raymond comes through with a 46.43. At 46.43, Brogan Russell waiting for his start up on top. Jersey Brackenberry on course, and Liz Hilton waiting for her start.
A friend of mine's kids are fishing. He says he claims they're safe.
Jersey came through with a time of 31.42. That's a 31.42. Liz Hilton from Caledonia waiting on her start. Raymond Cosgrove finished with a 46.43. That's a 46.43. Brogan Russell waiting on his start from Clare. We have a couple Clare competitors who will be on course together. This is Ivy Russell over on the GS. And just entering the course over on the solid is Brogan Russell. Unfortunately, we're going to have a hold on GS as Ivy Russell has taken a spill right at the delay. Hooked an arm on that gate and pulled the panel off. Well, hopefully she's okay and we'll get a check with her with our gatekeepers. This is Brogan Russell on the other side. Assuming a relative and possibly a brother. Working hard for that section and coming through the
Ryan,
final part here with a time of
that area near the
32. That's a 32.32. Big shout out to our gatekeepers there as they're checking on our contestant on the
I
hill.
don't know if there's ruts forming or there's a bump that come through the snow, so just tell them to have their eyes ahead ready.
And again, we're looking for somebody to give us an indication that our racer is okay. Otherwise, we put a call into ski school or check that into
Pressure too. A lot of these guys are getting in the back seat and after that haircut.
our first aid station. Finishing up for the boys, that's Colin Casbin with a 29.35. That's a 29.35. Looks like our contestant is sitting up and suiting back up. That's great to see. That's Ivy Russell from Clare. Give her a big shout out as we managed to get her back up, and glad to see she's not hurt too bad. This is Aiden Percha from Mount Pleasant on course. Aiden laying down a great run. That was a 28.85. 28.85. Great news is our skier on the GS course is back up, clicking into skis, and is going to be able to ski out of that crash. That's always great news. Back over to our men's side from Caledonia. This is DJ Puchker waiting for his start. Up on top, we've got Cindy Munson from Mount Pleasant waiting on his start.
They're calling them Bunchkins pretty soon.
And a big shout out to those gatekeepers. We're getting the panel put back on that GS gate and we'll be ready to go again. This is DJ from Caledonia on course for the men. We'll have that women's side open in just a moment. DJ racing from Caledonia comes through the flush here looking for that finish line. Comes through with the time of 31.78. That's a 31.78. Reese Teal from Onekama on course. It looks like we've got that JS course ready to ski again. Again, shout out to our gatekeepers.
Nice run, man.
And this is Reese Teal on course for Onekama.
Are you seeing there's some little, like right where that guy was, right coming out of that haircut, right? Like right out of
Waiting for his start up on top. This is Trevor from Grayling, and over on the GS side from Mount Pleasant, Sydney has just entered the course.
These guys got to be on their toes and ready. Also tell them that when they hit the flush, that ladder area near the flush, to stay forward. We're getting a little backseat.
Sydney working her way through the course, and Vicky Broso is waiting for her start. Sydney coming through at a time of 23.35. That's a 23.35. Vicky from Caledonia waiting on her, or is on course. Elsa Carter waiting on her start up on top. Trevor from Grayling just finished his run with a 29.79. That's a 29.79. Mark Van Hecken on course. Ben Stoops from Benzie Central waiting on his start. Vicky finished her run with a 24.33, 24.33. Elsa Carter on course. Got a skier down on slalom and he's hiking, which is going to let him finish. He's also pulled the gate there. Hopefully we can get that gate plugged into the hole. We might have to get the drill set back up. Looks like our gatekeeper's got that one ready to go and we can keep the slalom course running. Mark got a 40.00. That's a 40.00. Again, a shout out to our gatekeepers there as they're keeping this race moving smoothly for us. Jacqueline Hearn finishing our on course. Elsa Carter from Benzie Central finished with a 23.73. That's a 23.73. This is Jacqueline Hearn on course, and Jacqueline comes through with a time of 24.50. 24.50. This is Ben Stoops on course. Amy Corral from Grand Rapids Christian comes through with a 22.91, 22.91. 9-1. This is Ben Stoops coming down over on the slalom course. Ben carrying some great speed there. The bottom part had a little bobble up on top, but gives him a 44 flat. That is a 44.00. Reese Kinney on course from Saginaw Heritage, and Brecken Cotter from Onekama on course. Bailey Rumsey from Harrison waiting for her start, and Casey Brand from Harrison waiting on his start. Back to the GS course, Brecken coming through with a time of 25.23. That's a 25.23. And Reese Kinney working his way to the flush. Reese had a 29.97, 29.97. Casey Brand from Harrison on course. Justin Harrison waiting on his start. Bailey Rumsey on course. Brecken Cotter just finished 25.23. 25.23. Bailey Rumsey finishing her run with a time of 32.65, 32.65. From Grayling, Quincy Sterling on course. And Haley Skunk waiting for her start. Casey Brand finishing his run down here at the bottom from Harrison and coming through with a time of 37.08. That's a 37.08. From Clare, Ethan Rogers waiting for his start up on top. Over on the GS side from Grayling, that's Quincy Sterling coming through with a time of 22.97. That's a 22.97. Hetty Shunk waiting for her start up on top from Clare. She is on course. And over the inside, this is Ethan Rogers from Clare. Just coming over the head wall. Looks like Miles Luther from Benzie Central is waiting on his start.
Awesome. It's right down near the flush at the bottom. Probably the trick
And
is...
check that, Miles. It is Jaden Thompson from Glen Lake who is waiting up on top. Ethan Rogers finishing up down here at the bottom. Ethan coming through at the time of 34.60, 34.60. Nelly Shunk finished with a 24.62, and Liz Hilton from Caledonia is on course. Waiting in the wings up there is Mo Mosier from Benzie Central, and this is Jaden Thompson working his way towards the hairpin. Looks like Lincoln Gott from Mount Pleasant is up on top. Jaden Thompson coming through with a 34.35. That's a 34.35. And again, Mo Mosier on course here. Mo carrying some great speed to the finish line and comes through with a time of 24.56. That's a 24.56. Elena Grant from Glen Lake waiting on her start, and she is on course. Over the men's side, Jaden Thomas finished with a 34.35, and Lincoln Gott is waiting on his start up on top.
Thanks. Good job, girl.
And we're taking a moment to get a couple gates prepared in the slalom course. We'll have people
You're
running
doing
back in just a moment. Elena Granto working her way towards the finish line on our GS course. She comes through with a time of 27.61. That's a 27.61. From Grand Rapids Christian, Kara Bishop just in at the course. Ashlyn Blackmore from Onekama waiting on her start. Lincoln Gott from Mount Pleasant waiting on his start.
Work against it. Not your time, but I have lifetime.
Kara Bishop coming through with a 21.70. That's a 21.70. Ashlyn Blackmore from Onekama on course.
Where's Braden? Did he go already or did I miss him?
No, he did not go yet.
Trudy Hartman from Grayling waiting on the start up on top. That slalom course we're still doing a little bit of work on, and we'll have someone on course in just a moment. It should be from Mount Pleasant, Lincoln Gott. Again, one of the problems with all this fresh snow is keeping our brush gates plugged into the ground. They take a hard whack or two, and the next thing they want to do is start leaning on you. Nothing worse than having a bunch of leaning gates on your course. Over on our women's side from Grayling, this is Timmy Hartman finishing up her run with a time of 22.03. That's a great time of 22.03. Allison Whitaker from Harrison waiting for her start. Give a shout out to our course worker. That's also our chief timing person, is John Casman, coach of the Glen Lake team. Lincoln Gott waiting for his start.
Okay. I just like to know who's behind me.
Oh.
Well, in football, you want to know who's behind you, where you're at, because if they start coming, you got
Right, you gotta back up.
This is Allison Whitaker from Harrison on course. Get a shout out to John Casman as he's got that gates all ready to go again on the slalom course, and finishing up on the GS. This is Allison with a time of 30.76, 30.76. We should have Cassidy Allen from Clare waiting on her start. Up on top, Lincoln Gott has just entered the course from Mount Pleasant. Should be Jeremy from, or check that, Braden Smith from Caledonia waiting on his start on top. Cassidy Allen comes through the time of 23.84 to 3.84. Emily Wazinski on course. Madison Reynolds waiting for her start. Braden Smith over here on the other side, just on course. And Braden Sorensen from Onekama waiting for his start. Lincoln Gott finished with a 30.10. That's a 30.10.
Yeah, he got a little loose, it's like single ejector, so Braden's down.
And unfortunately, we've had a little bit of a decommissioning of equipment over here on the slalom side. Braden is going to be a DQ as he's lost post games of that, unfortunately. Glad to see he's okay and he's back up. We'll have him clear the course, and our next racer will be Braden Sorensen from Onekama. Althea Gaylord on course. Madison Reynolds from Caledonia finished with a 28.62, 28.62. Again, this is Althea Gaylord working her way to the finish line, and Kendall McNett from Glen Lake waiting on her start. We have Braden Sorensen on course. Althea comes through with a 26.21. That's a 26.21. And Braden takes a pretty hard hit there, but he's back up and hiking. It's good to see that. One of the major differences in high school racing is that we do hike in high school. Custom racers quite often don't have the time to take a hike, and they will quite often ski out of the course, but in high school it is critical that you finish the course. Braden Sorensen back on and making some great time up. Kendall McNitt coming through with a 29.27, that's a 29.27. Annalise Kuiper is on course. Brandon Sorensen came through with a 42.66, that's a 42.66. Hartman from Braley on course. We got a gate being pulled right out of the ground there. Fortunately, we got a gatekeeper right on top of it. We might need a drill, though. Looks great that we're keeping the racers going even as they're coming down the hill. This again is T. Hartman from Grayling and Annika Haig from Onekama on course. Annalisa Kuiper finished with a 21.79. That's a 21.79. Teague finishes with a time of 32.64. That's a 32.64.
Or actually, after the hairpin, and he kept recovering and
From
recovering.
Grand Rapids Christian, this is Willem Gronson. And over on the girls' side, Onekama, Annika Haig coming through with a 24.81, 24.81. From Harrison, that's Haley Trailsby on course. Putting in some extra laps there on the slalom side. Willem Gronson comes through with a time of 31.82, that's a 31.82. Keegan Payne on course for Benzie Central. Haley Trailsby on course for Harrison. Waiting for their start up on top from Grayling, that's Nico Treebold. And waiting on top for the men is Jonas Strack from Saginaw Heritage. Haley finished with a 35.83, that's a 35.83. Nico Treebold from Grayling is on course. And Keegan Payne working his way through the flush here. Little work there. He finishes nicely and is heading to the finish line. Over on the other side, though, Nico came through with a 22.81, 22.81. Keegan finishes with a 44.01, 44.01. From Saginaw Heritage, Jonas Strack is on course. And Chloe Allen from Clare on course. Waiting for her start up on top, Natalie Potter from Mount Pleasant. And Miles Henry from Harrison. Just finished over there, that was Chloe Allen with a 23.88, 23.88. And that puts Natalie Potter on course and Zosha Zerbeck from Caledonia on the button. James Strack finished his run with a 36.71, 36.71. Miles Henry on course. Braden Sorensen, check that. Miles Henry on course. We'll see who's coming up next. Natalie Potter finishes her run with a 27.33, 27.33. Zosia Zybrecht from Caledonia on course. Flora Dennis from Benzie Central waiting on her start. This is Miles Henry working his way through the hairpin right there. And waiting up above, Tristan Strauss from Clare. Tristan has entered the course. Miles is finishing up down here at the bottom, and Tristan comes through with a time of 40.74. That's a 40.74. Tristan Strauss on course. Hoffman Sutherland waiting for his start. Flora Dennis is on course, and Zashia just finished her run with a 28.25. That's a 28.25. This is Flora Dennis on course. Back here on the men's side, Hoffman Sutherland has just entered the course, and at the bottom here, Tristan Strauss is finishing up with a time of 36.60, 36.60. Nolan Moore waiting for a start up on top, and Hawthorne Sutherland on course. Flora Dennis finished with a 36.76, 36.76. Allie Aylesworth, check that, Lexi Aylesworth from Glen Lake on course.
Nice job.
Robin Tadco from Grand Rapids waiting for her start.
Did you feel like you were going
This is
too
Hawthorne
fast or
Sutherland
not
from
fast
Glen
enough?
Lake finishing his run with a time of
Because
32.24.
what I
That's
noticed was, as you're coming around and
32.24.
finishing your turn, you're almost scrubbing out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A little bit like.
In one
Robin
of the ones
Tedco
to
from Grand Rapids Christian
Yeah,
waiting
you
on her
can
start,
slow
and
you
Lexi
right down.
Aylesworth finishes
So,
up with the
when we're
31.50.
coming
That's
around
a
and starting those
31.50.
turns, we want to make sure we're super forward.
Okay.
With our on our toes, right?
Robin
and
on
pushing into the
course.
snow, and that'll actually help us generate speed. It helps your edges hold the snow, and then you'll hopefully generate speed around those turns. And then as you transition, generate more on the toes. Yep. But as far as where you were starting and finishing your turns, it looks pretty good. You just want to always start
With respect
your
to
turns
you
a
watching
little earlier
and
than
seeing them have to do some resets of that salt, of course, we had a ton of new snow here at Crystal, and it is hard to keep gates in the ground when you got so much fresh snow, particularly on the slalom courses. Over here on the GSO, this from Onekama is Allie Gill. Just finished up. Robin had a 22.46, and Hawthorne Sutherland was our last finisher on the male side with a 32.24. Nolan Moore has just entered the course from Mount Pleasant. Allie crashing through the finish line, but that is a legal finish as she came through with 3 pieces of equipment on. That one ski does not have to come through the finish line. Again, that is a legal finish, even though it's a fairly spectacular finish. Again, in high school races, you're allowed to finish with 3 pieces of equipment. So Allie has a time of 26.71. Luna Gauthier on course. Kendall Parsons waiting for her start. Over on the men's side, Nolan Moore finished with a 33.60, and Ben Daigle is waiting or is on course. Luna Gauthier finished with a 24.31, and Kendall Parsons from Clare is on course. Marie Marshall waiting for her start up on top. This is Ben Daigle working his way towards the hairpin. Waiting up on top for the start is Luke Smith from Onekama. Finishing the run from Clare, that is Kendall Parsons with a 26.64 to 6.64. Marie Marshall from Mount Pleasant on course, and Luke Smith over here from Onekama working his way through the rhythm section. Up on top from Caledonia, that's Erin Peckham waiting for her start.
Everything.
And Jericho Wren
The
from
top
Grayling
one.
waiting for his start on the boys' side. Luke Smith
I was thinking I'd
finishing
check
up
it
with
early
a
enough,
time
but I
of
didn't.
30.59. That's a 30.59. Jericho Wren will be our next skier. And on the women's side, Marie Marshall finishes with a time of 29.75. 29.75. Erin Peckham from Caledonia waiting on her start.
Yeah, the rest of it was just late, man.
And Jericho Wren from Grayling waiting on his start.
Yeah, it was just
Aaron
top
on course.
Right, it's
Jericho on course.
It definitely needs to test that.
Brief lull in the action here will remind everyone that about 40 minutes after the final skier comes off the hill, we'll be looking at awards in Northwest Territories. Make sure you stay for the awards and stay for the hardware that we'll have available for our winners. Unfortunately, we've got a double release on the GS side. Erin Peckham is going to be a TQ. Looks like she's okay as she's sitting up in frustration. Moving over to the other side, that's Jericho making his way to the finish line. Erin looks like she's okay and is walking it off. And again, shout out to our course workers and gatekeepers as they're helping to keep the ski going as quickly as possible. Lily Tico waiting for her start from Grand Rapids Christian up on top. We're doing a little bit of free bib numbering on the boys' side. We'll be right back with that. Bryson Clark from Grand Rapids Christian waiting for his start. Jericho Wren finished with a 33.34.
Can I borrow that battery?
It's in my car.
Oh, it's in your car? I thought it was that thing that you showed me.
Lily Taco waiting
I
for
think that hand one. Oh,
start from Grand Rapids Christian. And this is Bryson Christian
okay.
from
You're
Grand
not
Rapids
using it?
I don't know how.
Check that Bryson Clark
Yeah, he's totally
from Harrison.
It's really bad.
Raymond Cosgrove waiting for his start. Check that.
Get the turn it on. I don't know how. It might be good and it might not be. I haven't used it in a while.
Get himself a second run. And over the women's side, that's Lily from Grand Rapids Christian coming through with a time of 23.60. Leah Thompson from Onekama has just entered the course, and Bryson Clark back on it, and he comes through with a time of 59.74, 59.74. Leah Thompson on course. Lily finished with a 23.60. Up on top, waiting for her start, Dakota Batway from Grayling and Aiden O'Dwyer from Benzie Central.
yeah, I just wanted to see if it was actually charging.
Leah comes through with a time of 29.91. That's a 29.91. Dakota Batway from Grayling waiting on her start. This is Aiden O'Dwyer on course for Benzie Central. And Marissa Maurer from Saginaw Heritage waiting for his start. Her start, check that. Again, Aiden lays down a nice line there and comes up with a 31.76. That's a 31.76. Marissa Maurer on course. Marissa skiing for Saginaw Heritage. And I'll remind our fans out there and spectators, in high school skiing, women can ski on the men's team, but men cannot ski on the women's team. It's a great way for that young lady to get an extra start in. And again, we're back to racing Dakota Batway, 24.08. Marta Canoon from Clare on course. Marissa Maurer from Saginaw Heritage working her way through the hairpin. Up on top, Will Stasic waiting for his start. Willow Gott waiting for her start. And check that, it was Justin Harrison on the boys' side. Again, Justin Harrison on the boys' side. Willow Gott waiting for her start on the girls' side.
No, not
Marta
even registering.
At a 24.47, 24.47.
Might not be strong enough.
Yeah, might not be.
Okay, well, we tried.
Nope. It might not be charged up. It's an old one.
Justin Harrison.
No, it
on
says green
course.
light.
It looks like
Yeah.
Dawson Aldridge waiting for his start up top. We still got Willow Gott waiting for her start from Mount Pleasant over on the women's side.
Are you warm enough? Are you on an AI or no?
Yeah, I'm just
You're just winging it.
I'm all funky hot mess. Oh, hold on. It might not be on.
Justin Harrison making his way to the finish line and coming through with a time of 48.79, 48.79. Marta finished her run with a 24.47. Willa Gott still waiting on her start up on top. This is Dawson Aldrich from Claire on course.
Are you dead? Oh, there, it's working. It's working, it's working.
That is Dawson Aldrich making his way to the finish line. Dawson coming through with a time of 37.03. That's a 37.03. Justin Thompson just entered the course. Over the women's side, that's Jersey Blackenberry on course. And again, Jersey, our second run, or first runner for the second run, I should say. Jersey, time of 30.92 and a 102.34. 102.34. Justin Thompson over here on the slalom side, making his way towards the finish line, coming through with a time of 34.33. That's a 34.33. Hayden Smith has entered the course from Mount Pleasant. Aaliyah Blackmore just finished with a 21.66, 21.66. 43.07, Aaliyah, that is a first place finish, and it's probably going to hold for quite a while there. 21.66. Aaron Bursma from Grand Rapids Christian on course. Over here on the mid-side, this is Hayden Smith from Mount Pleasant coming through the finish line. Hayden coming through with a 31.88, that's a 31.88. Over the women's side, that's Aaron Bursma coming through with a 22.85, 22.85. Two real consistent runs there, Aaron. 22.88 and a 22.85. Total time, 45.73. 45.73. Willa Murray from Glen Lake on course. Hayden Smith just finished for the men with a 31.88, and Alden Brown from Caledonia waiting on his start. This is Willa Murray coming through our finish line with a 22.50. That's a 22.50. Gives you a total of 44.53, Willa. 44.53. Lily Wolf from Benzie Central on course. Lily Wolf finishes with a 22.96. Connie Thompson is up on top, just entered the course. Lily Wolf, 22.96. Total time, 45.90. 45.49. 45.49. Connie Thompson on course. Again, they're doing a little bit of coursework on that slalom side, but we've got Aiden Brown from Caledonia waiting on his start. This is Connie Thompson working her way to the finish line. Connie coming through with the time of 25.03. That's a 25.03. 50.11 total time. 50.11. Unfortunately, Willow Gott really took a gate out up on top there that looked like it hurt. I'm glad to see she's moving and getting back up. That took a ski right off, and she is going to be a DQ for the run. Another big shout out to our course workers there. Again, had a fair amount of hardware on the course today. This is Aiden Brown, skiing from Caledonia, and Willa Gott is going to be a DQ over there on the women's side. Waiting on her start up on top, Haley Strunk from Claire. And this is Aiden Brown finishing up. With a 38.90, 38.90. Bill Putney from Onekama on course. Our next racer for the women should be Haley Strunk. We're going to wait on here long enough to make sure our DQ'd skier is skiing off, and it looks like she's in good shape. So we'll get that women's side going again. That should be Haley Shunk. And on the men's side, this is Philip Putney finishing up. I remember that uniform well. That GS suit was on his dad about 30 years ago, I think. Philip Putney, 35.26, 35.26. Jordan Wren on course from Grayling. Looks like Sam Winks waiting for his start up on top, and Quincy Sterling waiting for her start.
And I meant to come back and catch it, and then I turned around and you guys must move.
Wait a minute, someone's on course. Who is that on course? You don't have time running. No, on the GS. Finished. Who was it?
We're up there now.
Haley Shunk, 22.82. 22, set and checked at 23.82. 23.82. Quincy Sterling on course. Sam Winks on course. Colton Johnson waiting for the start.
Woo! He was in.
Quincy Sterling is 23.61. That's a 23.61. Haley Rumsey waiting on her start. Sam having to do a little bit of hiking there for Grand Rapids Christian comes through with a time of 46.41. That was for Sam Winks. 46.41. Colton Johnson on course for Saginaw Heritage. Haley Rumsey from Harrison on course. Brecken Cotter from Onekama waiting on her start. And Liam Henry from Harrison waiting on his start. Photo finish down here at the bottom, and it looks like Bailey comes through first with a 31.20. That's a 31.20. Total time of 103.85. Colton came through with a 40.66. That's a 40.66. Liam Henry on course from Harrison. And Brecken Cotter is on course, working her way to the finish there. And Emma Coral from Grand Rapids Christian waiting in the decks. Brecken coming through with a time of 25.18. That's a 25.18. Total time 50.41. Emmy Coral on course. And just finishing up for the men, that's Liam Henry with a 44.59. 44.59. Evan Campbell on course. Looks like Jacqueline Hearn is waiting on her start up on top. Emma Coral finishes down here on the bottom. Emma coming through with a time of 23.26. 23.26. 46.17 total time. Jacqueline Hearn on course. Emma Corral waiting on her top start.
I was like, that looks wrong. Give me your finger. And then it's like, yeah.
Jacqueline Hearn had a 24.98, 24.98, 49.48. And this is Elsa Carter on course. Vicky Brosi waiting for her start, and Evan Campbell just finished with a 57.94, 57.94. Bryce Cundiff on course. Elsa Carter finishes with a 24.25. That's a 24.25, 47.98 time. Vicky Brosi on course. Ruby Sterling waiting for her start, and this is Bryce Cundiff from Glen Lake finishing his run. Bryce coming through with a time of 36.69. That's a 36.69. This is Max Berge from Mount Pleasant on course. And Ruby Sterling just entered the course over on the GS course.
Vicky looks great. She got a little wide on one of them after the delay, but she looks great.
Cassidy Allen waiting for her start up on top from Claire, and Ruby Sterling finishing up here on the bottom from Grayling with a time of... Ruby comes through with a 23.51, 23.51. Cassidy Allen on course. And this should be Cohen Brumfield on course.
Until you get past the yellow triangle. Did I stop? You started stopping before that. So the double pace is...
Max Berge, 37.27. Max is a 37.27.
You get past the yellow.
Cohen Brumfield from Caledonia.
It's tense.
Sliding out there and having to do a little bit of hiking.
All in all, I think you're going to be very happy when you see yourself on the video.
I almost fell on this one, but I think I did it the second time too.
Yeah. I think that was around the same.
Nice job, kiddo.
Also consistent.
And we've got
Which is excellent. Yeah.
Ben Daigle waiting for his startup on top.
That's what they call
Over
it.
on the women's side, Cassidy Allen finished with a 23:49. That's a 23:49. Total time of 47:33. 47:33.
We got
The Snowberrians, yeah.
Ben Dangle.
You didn't hike, did you? Did you have to hike?
A little bit.
A tiny bit, yeah.
A tiny bit.
I didn't miss the gate, but I skid out.
Oh, so you didn't have to. He did not miss the gate, but he skidded out of it.
We got Jamie Lannon Riley over on the men's side, just on course. And on the women's side, waiting for her start, Turney Hartman from Grayling. Turney on course also. And unfortunately, Turney is down and unfortunately lost a ski during that slide. That's going to mean a DQ for her.
It was one foot, and I had those.
And unfortunately, Turney is going to be a DQ as he has lost his ski there on the course. Marcus Parker is on course. Just finished up. Jamie had a 37:27. That's a 37.27. Allison Whitaker on course from Harrison. Allison Whitaker having a little problem. Looks like the ladies are carrying a little speed out of that delay and they're coming around and having trouble with the next two turns. She is back up and on course though, kept her equipment and will be able to get a finish here. Again, this is the second run for our ladies. And she's working her way towards the finish line from Harrison, Allison Whitaker with a time of 40.49. That's 40.49. Total time of 111.25. Ashlyn Blackmore from Onekama on course. And this is James Vanderbosch from Grand Rapids Christian on course. Looks like Will Stasic waiting for his startup on top, and Kira Bishop waiting for her startup on top. Ashlyn Blackmore finishes with a 24:46. That's a 24:46. Total time 48:93. Total time of 48:93. Great time there. And this is James Van Bosch coming through with a time of 41:99. That's a 41.99. Will Stasic on course. And this is Kira Bishop coming through that delay and really working at the lower part of the course. Great catch there as she comes through with a couple of great times. That was the fastest time on the second run right now, a 21:66. Here again, fastest run on the second run, 21:66. Total time of 43:36. It's a 43.36. Elena Grant on course. Over on the men's side, Will Stasic finished with a 43:79. That's a 43:79. Blaine Allstop on course. And just finishing, Elena Grant finishes up with a 28:30. Total time, 55.91. 55.91. Mo Mosier on course from Benzie Central. And Blaine Allstop is on course for the men. his start up on top. Silas is on course. Mo finished to get her run with a 24.95, total time of 49.51, and Elena Grant from Glen Lake waiting on her stock. Check that, it was not Elena Grant, it is Liz Hilton waiting on her start from Caledonia. This is Liz Hilton on course, and over here on the men's side, Silas Donaldson. Silas Donaldson coming through with a 41.45.
Yes, Liz!
From Caledonia, Liz Hilton finished up with a 27.52. That's a 27.52. Total time 53.90. 53.90. From Claire, Cole Allen on course. Over here on the men's side, this is Porter Martin from Glen Lake, working his way through the course. Silas Donaldson finished with a 31.45. Over here on the women's side, Chloe finished with that 24.46. That's a 48.34 total time. Nico Treball from Grayling on course. Time there, that is a 22.57, 22.57, gives her an overall 45.38, 45.38, and puts her in fourth place. Great running there. Haley Trail-Belsey from Harrison, waiting for her start. And it's Eric Papa from Mount Pleasant on course. And I think Eric is up there on top taking a coffee break. We'll wait to see if we see him come over the head wall. And it's Haley. Working her way to the finish line, and Haley coming through with a time of 37.69, 37.69. Total time of 1:13.52. Annika Haig waiting on her start up on top. Porter Martin finished with a 59.23, 59.23. James Seigel from Caledonia on course. And Annika Haig on course. Seigel finishes up with a 39.24, that's a 39.24. Annika Haig finished up with a 24.24, 49.05. Annalise Kuiper on course, and Annalise coming through with a 22.29, 22.29. Total time of 44.08, 44.08. From Anekama.
Should go old school all the time.
It's burning out there. Yeah.
From Glen Lake, it's Kendall McNitt waiting on her start, and over on the men's side just came on course. That's Abid Ali from Anekama.
Can you like kind of wrap these by my kid bar?
Is it the moderate? Is it the super? Is it the real? I know.
And again, we're going to finish today with a little disparity between our girls and our boys. A fair amount of boys have been having to take some hikes on this slalom course. Kendall McNitt coming through with a 29.06. That's a 29.06. Total time of 58.33. And Abin Ali coming through with a 41.41. That's a 41.41. Althea Gaylord on course. And again, as we finish up on that women's side, if you've got skis on and are willing to help pull gates off the hill, that's great. We'd like to get the GS course off the hill, and we can even pull the fencing on that GS side of the course. Our men are still in their first run. Women are finishing up their second run. And Althea Gaylord finished with a 26.89, total 53.10. And Madison Reynolds is on course. Trevor waiting on his start from Grayling over on the men's side. Brett Peterson finished up with a time of 34.33. That's a 34.33.
As expected. Pretty good.
Madison Reynolds finished with a 28.08. That's a 28.08. Total time of 56.70. Emily Wazinski on course from Mount Pleasant. And Trevor finished with a time of, looks like Trevor was our first skier with his second time in. We're into the second round for the men. That is a 30.21 on his second run. 30.21. Total time of 1 minute flat. It's 1 minute flat. Emily Wazinski is hiking on the GS side. And on the boys' side, this is Reese Teal. And we have DJ Pottinger waiting on his start. Emily's got the hiking in, and she is back on course. She comes through with a time of 57.92. That's a 57.92. And Reed comes through on the mid side with a 34.5. Total time of 106.74. Kendall Parsons on course. And that's Kendall Parsons finishing up her run with a 26.41, 26.41, total time of 53.05. 53.05. Luna Gauthier on course, and again, that's Luna Gauthier from Grayling, who is on course. Over on men's side, got a slight momentary hold up here, and we'll be back to racing. This should be Aiden Percha from Mount Pleasant entering the course. Don't throw snowballs.
Me, you've been talking to me. That's the guy in first. Sorensen crashed.
Luna Gauthier came through with a 23.90. That's a 23.90. Total time of 48.21. 48.21. Allie Gill from Anekama just finished her run. 26.34. That's a 26.34. 53.05. 53.05 for her total time. Robin Tatko, waiting for her start, is on course. Over the mid-side, this is Colin Casbin, son of another one of our coaches, John Casbin, who coaches for Glen Lake. Colin skied for Glen Lake, and he is on course. Oh, and he takes a big pop out of that one gate. He is not sure if that was a legal gate. We'll see if we get a call from the gatekeepers. I did not see a DQ sign from our gatekeepers. I'm assuming Colin made a clean run there, even though he stomped on one of those gates. Our skier on the GS course is a DQ, and she has lost equipment.
What's up, Jimmy?
This is Brogan Russell from Clare on course.
It was okay. I heard it was finished. I heard it looked pretty solid. I mean, I finished. What was your score? 33 point something. 9.
Brogan coming through with a time of 31.28. That's a 31.28. Total time of 103.60. And Robin Tatko, unfortunately, is a DQ, and we've got Lexi Aylesworth on course. Lexi skiing for Glen Lake Schools.
2 seconds behind my last
This is Lexi Aylesworth on course.
I needed to be faster than my
And
first run if I was going
Raymond Cosgrove
to be good, but
on course. Yeah, Flora Dennis from Benzie Central just enters the course up on top, even as Lexi Aylesworth finishes up at the bottom. Lexi with a time of 31 seconds flat. That's a 102.50 total time. Flora Dennis on course. And over here on the men's side, this is Raymond Cosgrove working his second run. Raymond coming through with a time of
Give me your definition of good.
59.48. That's a 59.48.
no, it was
On course.
Oh crap. Might be sore.
Flora Dennis finishing up her run, and Zosha Zerbeck waiting on her start up on top. She has entered the course. Flora's finished with a 36.28. That's a 36.28. Total time of 1:13.04. That's a 1:13.04. Zosha Zerbeck on course. And Matthew Peak over here for Saginaw Hills. Oops. Not sure he made that gate. He's hiking. That's a good way. And he is back on course.
What'd you get?
And Matthew Peak finishing up with a time of 51.84. That's a 51.84. Total time of 1:56.43. 1:56.43.
Oh shoot.
We have Miles Luther from Benzie Central on course, and Natalie Porter finishing up. Miles finishes with a 32.22. That's a 32.22. Miles, that gives you a total time of 102.82. Great run there. Zach Vanderhorn from Grand Rapids Creek
last time she
on
read
course.
was
Natalie Potter finished her run with a 27.50.
This is kind of close.
See the second one faster.
Oh, did you?
By a quarter of a second.
That's close enough. That's good. Like, even if you're consistent, that's still really good. Because everybody else is usually
And
slower.
this is Zach Vanderhorn from Grand Rapids Christian working his way to the finish line, coming through with a time of 39.47. That's a 39.47. Total time of 1:15.66. Natalie Potter from Mount Pleasant has finished with a 27.50, and that's a 54.83.
Do you mind if I... Do you think I have time to go in and take this? No. My mom taking a sneeze. Yeah, that means the other place.
On the ladies' side from Claire, we have Marta Canoon waiting for her start. She is on course. On the men's side, it is Teague Hardman from Grayling who is on course. Would ask all of our spectators out there and participants as we wrap up the race today, everybody gets off the hill quicker if everybody helps clean up the hill. We like to leave things in a great condition as we finish up a race, so anyone who is willing to help roll up fences or help us clean off the hill, that would be awesome and certainly appreciated. Otherwise, we're looking at a medal presentation about 40 minutes after the final racer comes through. That'll be in the Northwest Territories, and we hope you can stay for awards. We've got a lot of great hardware to give out to our racers. From Claire, Marta had a time of 23.88. Check that, 23.38. Total time of 47.85. Dakota Batway is on course from Grayling, and over on the men's side, that is Braden Sorensen taking his second run. Braden had a hiccup on that first run, but he earned himself a second run, and he comes through with a 29.54. One of the fastest runs of the second run. Gave him a 1:12.20 and actually put him in top 10 with a fall on the first run. That's some great skiing from Braden Sorensen. Leah Thompson on course. And it looks like we've got Lincoln Gott waiting for his start up on top.
Very small. We have to have
4 people to make a team. Oh yeah, because that's scoring.
Yeah, they have
We need
3 boys
racer
and 2 girls or something like that. But they were
176, Aiden Percha. Please head to the top. You've only taken one run. Again, we got him entered late. Somehow he managed to miss the first run. Aiden Percha, you should be heading to the top to get that second run in. Again, Aiden Percha, you've taken a late first run, and we need you back up for that second run. Over the women's side, Leah Thompson finished with a 37.30 1:03.73. Had a 1 minute .64 time. And Lily Tecco just finished from Grand Rapids Christian with a 23.83. 23.83.
Now I do this. I do this. Now they're kind of hard. So I gotta zip them.
Yeah, well, I said, and the roads were bad enough that on the way up. Is that Aaron? Yeah, it looks like Aaron. That is Aaron.
That's Aaron. We'll hear it.
I feel like she's not talking to you. Oh, she said,
She said quieter.
quiet. Because normally I
Oh, I heard her on the chairlift.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I heard her too.
maybe it was last year. Oh,
I don't know. I don't think she realized.
no, last year it's long. I think this race is my favorite. It was like, you can do it, you can do it. 30-62. Yes.
Yeah. Aaron, I got your coat.
Thanks.
That's one leg.
Right there.
Catching up here a little bit from Claire, that was Ethan Rogers with a 34.03. 34.03 at a time of 108.63 for a total time.
Aaron, you all right?
Casey Brand is on course, and Mari Marshall.
Rest in peace, Aaron.
Here lies Aaron.
You good? You want to hand up?
GS.
So you can get dressed?
I was worried about that, but I think she said it was
Okay.
Casey Brand is on course,
But I didn't get that.
and we've got a slight hold of the GS as they've got a little work going on over there. It should be Erin Peckham waiting for her start. Check that. She's had her second start. We're getting closer to the women's side to wrapping things up. Again, as we do that, we appreciate course workers and help from our participants getting things off the hill. That means pulling the GS course.
I got sweat.
And same thing, we'll pull the fences over there on the GS.
I'll have the heart.
It looks like we are a wrap on the ladies' side, as we think we've got all our women have come through at this point. Ethan Rogers was our last finisher for the men. He came through with a 34.03, total time of 108.63. And unfortunately, our last racer was a DNF as he went down somewhere up on top that we didn't see, but we got the message from up above. Reese Kenny from Saginaw Heritage is on course. As we are working our way into the final stages of today's race, I'd remind everyone that we are looking at about a 40 minutes between the finished last racer and awards being given in Northwest Territories. We'd ask our parents and coaches to please make sure you're policing your area as you leave the Northwest Territories. We always like to make sure we leave things in better condition than we found them around Crystal, and that way they'll invite us back next year for the next Benzie Invite. Benzie Invite has been going on here for 23 years now, and we hope to do another 23 years, so let's take it into the future. Reese Kenny finishes with a 31.22. That's a 31.22. Total time of 101.19. 101.19. Ben Stoops is waiting on his start up on top.
I think last year it was like Guard. Yeah, last year it was your arm.
Don't even comment on sitting in the body.
Class of 2025 first. Every year, someone in my class of 2025. Like Liz last year. Thank you so much, Bill. And so freshman year it was Liz, sophomore year it was James, and this year
Everything is over here, and I never been ski before, so it's great.
there you go. I made sure nobody stole your phone.
I know that everybody's on the market.
And Ben Stoops finishes that run with a 35.17. That's a 35.17. Flew down the hill after a fake start there. 119.17.
On the girls' side. On the girls' side, it's everybody. On the boys' side, everyone's gone down at least once.
This is Mark Van Hecken from Grand Rapids Christian on course. And again, a big shout out to our course workers. They can't help me on the hill, but those are the people who make our race run. And sorry for that. Mark Van Hecken from Grand Rapids Christian came through with a 31.06, and that gives him a 1:11.06. And Jericho Wren just finished his run, 33.40. That gives him a 1:06.74. Luke Smith from Onekama on course. Again, as we are wrapping things up here today, we ask everybody to help us with the cat in the hat. That is, let's get everything off the hill as quickly as possible, working in a large group so that we don't leave individuals out here working really hard. And everybody can be in Northwest Territories warming up, having a snack, and winning some great awards this afternoon. Just finishing up there, that is Luke Smith from Onekama with a time of 32.29, 102.88 time. That's a 102.88 time. Bendigo on course.
Got it.
With a 36.57, 36.57, a 1:12.77 total time. Hawthorne Sutherland from Glen Lake on course. And again, I'd like to remind all of our people, it looks like I don't need to. We've got a great group out there helping to get the GS course pulled.
Oh shit, I gotta get up to Jesus.
Strauss on course. Hawthorne Sutherland finished with a 33.56, 33.56, 105.80. Tristan unfortunately down and losing his ski. That means he is going to be a DQ there. Looks like Miles Henry from Harrison waiting on his start up on top. Hawthorne Sutherland coming through with a 33.56, 33.56.
Everyone's getting slower.
He's like, yeah, I had a great run at the top.
Coming over the ridge.
Yeah.
That's where he got beat last time too.
Well, no, you said he did that well this time.
Oh, and then left it in his ring. Because I was like, it wasn't in the
That's why I think
that's understandable.
he was really close to the bottom.
I don't know. That's
Gates with his shins. Closest I've seen him getting.
At the same time, so you want to make sure when he's that close and he's working hard that he's working with his legs. So he's pushing down. So instead of just breaking the gate.
Miles Henry finished with a 35.50. That's a 35.50. And Jonas Strock working his way to the finish line here. Jonas coming through with a time of 36.54. That's a 36.54. Just into the course. Keegan Payne from Benzie Central.
Okay. Yeah, or he likes it.
Keegan Payne on course and up on top waiting for his stop. William Grodsman. Jordan Rim, 35.24. That was a total time of 1:10.55. Phil Putney just finishing up his run.
Yeah, go up and give it another push.
I can still tell where the course was.
Yeah, go. You're not going to get that out of there today. Yeah. But go give it another push. So when we're done, you can, between parents,
Adam Putney, could you please come to the race booth? Adam Putney, please come to the race booth. And could we please have the Grayling and Claire coaches and Adam Putney all please come to the race shack right here at the bottom of the hill. Adam Putney, Claire coach.
Okay, well, he's got...
Please come to the race shack if you can.
And that's what gives that illusion. Like Kylie. Tim, you must have won a prize.
Yeah. So usually the prize when it's jury duty. Come on, push through.
I think...
Again, if I could have the coaches from Putney, Adam Putney and Claire and Grayling. Please stop.
He'll figure it out.
I remember when Tyler had that girl, it took him a while to figure it out.
So boys, we just lost Brady. Okay.
Oh my god, how's the run? What? Oh my god, I told you to run!
You know, it is what it is. I could drop the sound out. But that's another whole step for me instead of just click, drag, drop. I could have that. I'm guessing they got a time. And so they're talking about tiebreaker, my guess.
And apologies there, folks. We got a couple to check up on. Hayden Smith at a 33.24. That's a 105.12 time. Justin Thompson had a 32.19. That's a 106.52. And Dawson Aldridge from Clare, our last skater through, was a 38.05. That's a 115.08 total time. Justin Harrison from Harrison on course. That's a 44.38. 133.17. And Marissa Mowers on course.
Wait for someone to hit my skis and fly.
And this is Aiden O'Dwyer on course. Carson Maurer finished up with a 44.74, 133.85. And again, this is Aiden O'Dwyer finishing his run-up. Aiden came through with a 32.18, a 32.18.
Yeah, that ain't bad. Yeah.
And this is Bryson Clark on course. Could we please have the Mount Pleasant coach come in? The Mount Pleasant coach.
They may have had a conflict because they had everybody on their own bibs and they had to sign a different number. So they had to Does one of them not have time? Maybe there's two of them. I don't know.
Go, Marcus, come on.
Yeah.
Let's go. Push it hard. Let's go. Come on. Marcus. There you go.
There's two of them. There's probably what team was it?
If we can have the Mount Pleasant coach please come to the race shack. Again, Mount Pleasant coach, if we can have you please come to the race shack.
So it's Claire, Benzie.
And this is Jamie Riley from Onekama on course.
They go 15. This is slow. It's slow. There's nothing there. When you go to move the gate, it's like, where do I drill? It's just all holes and just. That's why they're on. It's like, this has got to be a DJ or a phone. It's a good run.
Yeah, I like that he's more forward.
I don't want to say anything too fast, but I mean, I don't think it's
Let's go!
Yes!
He looked good on it.
And that is Cohen Broomfield came through with a 35.60. That's a 35.60, 126.80.
Yeah, it was a good run. He skated well. Hey. Wait. Good job. You do yourself getting out. You double point. So, great practice. Get your coat on. Get warm, man. Yeah, he's fourth. I think he's fourth. No, he's fifth. You're fifth.
Yeah.
So we got one more. We got James will be next.
James with the flame.
Well,
I know. I'm sure they have
and
multiple
you know
things
what?
going on
We
in
told
that one.
them to add that's what and snow and ice. And you got
They'll tell me on here. You'll yell at that.
you did very nice. The course itself it drops out. That snow where those gates are.
Bryce Kundrick came through with a time of 38.04. That's a 38.04 total time of 114.73. That's a 114.73. Evan Campbell on course from Clare, and Liam Henry just entered the course. And Evan Campbell just coming through with a 44.10. That's a 44.10. Total time of 142.04. 142.04. Liam Henry on course from Harrison, and Colton Johnson from Saginaw Heritage just entered the course.
Yeah, let's head up and then we'll be ready to pull and roll from up there.
I'm just realizing you're down here.
Yeah.
At the end of the race.
Come on, Brett! Come on, Brett! Awesome, Brett!
That was a great one. My total one was really great. They're done by my batteries died and my phones, but they weren't fully charged. Bendigo's in the game. Not on course. You're just ready to sit down, huh? You might be the first one there, but. Wait, I wouldn't be Benzie. That would be James. James, right?
Versus Evie.
Because we had to go to fifth.
Yeah, and sorry, we've been a little remiss on the announcing here as we're wrapping up the race. We are getting things squared away for the trophies this afternoon. Just about finished with our second run for the men.
So it's not
Catching up a couple of those. Sam Winks, that was a 37.43 total time
Yeah,
of
I kicked his butt. It's over.
123.84. Brett Peterson, a 33.72. That's a 108.105. And Ahmed Ali from 35.72. That's a 117 total. And James Daigle just finished with Caledonia with a 40.25, a 119 total. And if we could have the Caledonia coach and Mount Pleasant come back and visit us again. Oh, there's a great move on the slalom course. He's got both skis on though, and he should get back in the course. We're finding a lot of the skiers catching a lot of energy off those slalom turns, and it's popping them right up. Again, Caledonia and Mount Pleasant, if we can have those two coaches back into the race shack. Again, Caledonia coach and and that one looks like it hurt. He's lost his ski, and that's going to be a finish to the day for Eric Papa.
I did a pizza stop.
Again, we're looking for the Caledonia coach, and we're looking for the Mount Pleasant coach to come back to the shack, please. And unfortunately, that is going to be a DQ there as he has lost his ski during that. And Corey Martin is on course.
That's still good. Yeah, it was good. I gotta get in this boat. It's not recorded by now. I'm not gonna like review the footage.
Mount Pleasant coach, if you can hear me out there, I needed someone from the Mount Pleasant to find me the Mount Pleasant coach. See if we can have him stop in the race shack. Catching up again, Silas Donaldson, 38.48. That's a 1:19.93. And Blaine Allstop with a 40.21. That's a 40.21. 131.45. On course, this is Will Stasek from Saginaw Heritage. Unfortunately, he's lost his ski, and that's going to DQ him on that course. Yeah, this is our next racer for Grand Rapids Christian, James Vandenbosch, on course. Good, we are looking for the Mount Pleasant coach, or Mount Pleasant skiers. If you know where your coach is, please send them to the race shack. That. Yes, we had him over here once already, but again, Mount Pleasant coach, we're looking for you. Yeah. Finishing up here with a little bit of height. Looks like that was our final racer of the afternoon. We really appreciate all of our course workers and gatekeepers, coaches and participants. It has been a great race. We're going to be seeing everybody about 40 minutes from now in Northwest Territories. And again, we would appreciate any help we can get getting the cat and hat effect. That is getting all the fences rolled up, all the gates off the hill, and getting things ready for the people that are going to night ski here tonight. Again, we are wrapped up here. I'd like to remind everybody, 40 minutes after the fact, as we wrap things up here, we're going to try to meet in Northwest Territories, and we'll have awards and presentations for you. Everything is online, so you should be able to start seeing results from this afternoon session fairly soon. The ladies are pretty much up already. We'll get the men's done as soon as we can. And again, we're looking forward to everybody joining us in Northwest Territories in about a half an hour.
Debbie said she took a lot of that one to do the
Oh, perfect. Price is still back already? Yeah. Oh, and this is Jen.
Hey, DJ, roll some that. Get everybody with the towel rolling.
Actually, start here. It's already halfway done. No, I laid it down the right way. Just pick that up and lay it.
Go down there and help Maddie with rolling this mat right here.
Yep, lay it that way.
So Maddie, will it roll or is that upside down now?
No, it's right.
Okay, roll it right here.
Yeah, I make sure I laid it in the same direction.
Hey, nice and tight. Pull it tight. There we go. And if you just kind of push it so it's just going right nice and straight, you can just roll that up,
Later on
remove the
tonight,
tripod
I'll
back.
probably have them on
Okay.
or tomorrow.
Okay, well, we got a few hour ride home anyway, so. All right, I will take a look tomorrow to be sure.
Yeah, I still have, I don't know what to charge. What would you think?
I don't know. You want to take a break from rolling, I think.
Got everybody for your team.
Now,
Got
one more
everybody.
You
split.
got everybody, yeah.
Braden, if your back's buggy, you
You
don't
could share them around. That helps me too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Kaylee, your turn.
All right, let's see it.
All right, thank you so much.
What's that? Maddie was saying she got to go in. We don't get to go in until we're done. Yeah, we got to talk to him. No, the answer is no. We come down here, we get everything